Douluo, my martial spirit is a system. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 276, The Chaotic Peach Blossom. 2. Fei felt that he was being hostile. Isn't my chaos not excellent? If he is not excellent, how can he subdue a guy like Ridiculed who is comparable to a titled Douluo? So from this point of view, chaos is also very powerful. Although Fei didn't witness the process of subduing it with his own eyes, the result is always like this, right? Mixed with the mist, the speed of walking was not slow at all, but Fei and Yilanshan did not deliberately speed up, such as using soul power. According to what Yilanshan said, even walking back and forth at such a leisurely pace would only take a while. In the morning, looking at it this way, Fei felt like he was playing around with Yilanshan and taking Ridiculed back. Oh no, he was going to the elves to talk about chaos. Hey, a little guy like chaos has such a blessing, but it's also quite weird. It's love at first sight, and it's love at first sight for such a near transparent chaos villain. Is there really no problem with this villain's head? Or is it according to the elves? Are you too young to understand these things? While walking Fei, he felt that this was too dramatic, but if this villain really followed them, his combat power would undoubtedly be at the top level, and soul masters can hardly detect the existence of elves, so it is also top notch to attack secretly the existence of assassination. After walking along the banks of the Wu River for about 2 or 3 hours, they did not arrive at the habitat of the elves first, but encountered the first trouble. River crocodiles are a group of 1,000-year-old river crocodiles. They are special spirit beasts living in the Wu River. They have hard shells, extremely sharp teeth, and amazing bite force, especially river crocodiles that have reached the millennium level. Because they have a very high ability to cooperate, river crocodiles live in groups and are extremely violent, and they have already sensed our breath. No, it is the breath of Ridiculed. Yilanshan stopped Fei and at the same time looked in front of the mist, her pale blue eyes pierced through the mist to see the scene ahead. Ridiculed is looking at you. Well, it's no problem to entrust you with a group of 1,000-year-old soul beast river crocodiles. Come on, use a big move to destroy them directly. Fei pointed at the fog ahead. A sense of crisis slowly pierced through the fog, and the little chaotic man on his shoulder stood there blankly, wondering if he was thinking about something, or chose to remain silent, because he didn't get Fei's order woolen cloth. Ridiculed shook her head frantically, and at the same time, grabbed a strand of Yilanshan's hair, and said with great resistance, No, I don't kill soul beasts. I'm afraid I dare not kill soul beasts. Yilanshan looked at Fei. Ridiculed is still young. According to the elves, at this age, she is still learning the basics of plant identification. It is a bit far-fetched for Ridiculed to eliminate the river crocodile. There is no way. Let's solve it. Bah. Fei looked at Ridiculed. Ridiculed was very scared. No, or it should be said that she was a little scared, and kept walking towards Yilanshan's neck. As Yilanshan mentioned just now, she was still young. I'm afraid it would be very far-fetched for her to kill the soul beast, right? That's right. Fei has always measured elves by the age of humans, but no matter how you look at it, such a small elf must have never killed a soul beast, right? What's more, they are still spirits. To a certain extent, spirits protect the existence of some spirit beasts, and they also have a cooperative relationship with spirit beasts. Here we come. In the water, Yilanshan quickly mentioned something, and at the same time, dragged Fei to the side. The speed was very fast, and at the same time, a big bloody mouth suddenly protruded from the river near the eye. The sharp teeth were at least 10 centimeters long, and they were the front teeth. The teeth turned out, and at the same time, a burst of mist was lifted up, and the tail of the river crocodile was drawn together. 1, 2, 3. A total of 8 millennium level river crocodiles rushed up from the bank of the Wu River all at once. The scene was really terrifying. Ji-Fei was also a little surprised that he met 8,000 year level soul beasts at once, and they were such terrifying river crocodiles. No matter how you look at it, it's just a spirit beast with stronger attack and stronger defense. It's almost 1,000 years old and there is number 2,000 year old river crocodile. Ji-Fei and Yi Lanshan stood on a boulder on the riverbank. After the group of river crocodiles rushed up, their dark eyes watched Ji-Fei and Yi Lanshan together. They seemed to find that these two people were not easy to provoke. Extremely fast, the biting and tail flick just now were all completed at one node, but the two guys in front of them were able to react unexpectedly. Yeah, okay, it seems that it was my mistake to let Weili Raya take the shot just now. I can just get rid of such a small fish. This stone, this riverbank is a brand new soul slaughterhouse. Weili Raya's subtle voice suddenly sounded. The Lord's husband? Ah, you called me? Ji-Fei felt that this address was a bit weird, right? Although I know you call Yi Lanshan your lord, isn't it too awkward to call me? It's fine to call me Ji-Fei. You can also call me father. Don't look at me so young, but I'm actually 30 years old. It's a bit regular. What about Valia? Do you have any questions? Yi Lanshan reminded Ji-Fei. Ji-Fei smiled and said that this is a normal thing. Chaos is still a child, right? Weili Raya was a little hesitant, but in the end she lay down next to Yi Lanshan's ear and talked about knock knock. Hey, the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law shouldn't be so harmonious now, okay? Do you feel that now is the time to whisper? Are you trusting me too much? Ji-Fei looked at the villain of chaos on his shoulder. Chaos, you see, the two of them have already started to reject the two of us. Poor. The villain of chaos slowly popped out one word after another. No, it's, yes, I wish the chaotic villain has no expression. Although the facial features are of a clear type, they are not clear enough to make expressions at will. He slowly popped out a few words. Key, breath, very, great, bite, get up, come up, very, special. That means you are interested? Haha, chaos, you are very talented. I'm very gratified, very gratified. Yi Lanshan said at this moment. Ji-Fei, Weili Raya has something to ask of you. End of this chapter. Chapter 277 The Chaotic Peach Blossom. 3. Weili Raya has something to ask of me. Ji-Fei looked at Weili Raya, thinking in his heart what would she ask of himself. She didn't dare to use her powerful strength, so what would she ask Ji-Fei to do? Weili Raya turned her head and didn't dare to face Ji-Fei directly. It seemed that what she asked was a little bit overwhelming. Can you not kill these soul beasts? Just disperse them? This sentence made Ji-Fei, who was about to roll up his sleeves violently, a little confused, but it is more or less possible to guess the reason why Weili Raya thinks so. She is an elf, and elves and most soul beasts are still considered it's a pretty good partnership, so it's hard to watch them being killed, right? Even if Vilya knew that the group of river crocodiles were targeting her, she didn't even dare to make a move. On the one hand, she knew that her power was too special. If she unilaterally made a move, the 8,000-year-old river crocodiles will be turned into fly ash, and even they may fall into the attack range. Hey, okay, I know, I'm still very sure about dealing with the soul beast from the year before last. You just take a good look at it. Ji-Fei didn't refuse anything. Indeed, he originally wanted to kill this group of river crocodiles, because river crocodiles are very ferocious and powerful. If they don't kill them, they might follow Ji-Fei and the others all the time. It is very troublesome to attack Ji-Fei and the others again under a sudden situation point. If the river crocodiles were a group of soul beasts who knew how to give up, Ji-Fei wouldn't have killed them from the start. First of all, before fighting this group of river crocodiles, Ji-Fei first gave orders to the villain Chaos not to allow him to make a move. Ji-Fei knew very well that once the group of river crocodiles were defeated by him, the villain Chaos would definitely fly forward. Swallowing all of these river crocodiles is an important act of Chaos as a character who eats everything, but it is worth mentioning that Chaos did not eat Weili Raya at that time, which made Ji-Fei change. Original idea. Compared with the restrained soul skills, Ji-Fei now prefers the melee soul skills of possession, that is, the possession of beast spirits, especially when using the deed of the underworld. The powerful power is enough for Ji-Fei to realize the charm of melee combat. Even if a control type soul master is very powerful in duels, he will never experience the hearty pleasure that a powerful combat attack type soul master has. The deed of the underworld was exposed to the air, and every inch of the slender claws released a powerful and violent force. At the same time, Ji-Fei's body was dotted with many flames, and the 3 spirit rings also shone at the same time. Possessed, the Huoyuan martial soul is considered to be a top-notch martial soul that takes into account both the aggressive and agility attack systems. No, if it is not for the special martial soul mutation ability of a chaos villain, then a martial soul like Huoyuan is at best it's just a long-range output as a strong attack system. The fiery red wings on the back kept burning intense ethereal flames. Ji-Fei slowly flew up, looking at the river crocodiles gathered below to watch. The gathered river crocodiles seemed a little startled. This human can actually fly, but what about flying? Our goal is the elves standing on that woman's shoulders. That special breath of life attracts them to attack her every moment. Ji-Fei's combat method is very simple and clear. Of course, in Ji-Fei's opinion, it is also the most effective. There was a layer of flames on the dark purple deed of the underworld, and Ji-Fei flew away. Ji-Fei rose for a distance of 5 or 6 meters, and controlled it to the point where the river crocodile could not attack. The marks directly fell on the hard skin of the river crocodile, and there were many sparks of metallic luster when it touched it. If other people saw this scene, they must have thought that the attack of the deed of the underworld would not be able to penetrate the outer leather armor of the river crocodile. But Ji-Fei smiled inexplicably when he saw a trace of flame splashing up. The crimson deed of the underworld / marks spread out on the river crocodile in an instant, and the flames rolled up and burned continuously, and soon spread all over the river crocodile from head to tail. Run quickly. If you run into the river, you can wash away the flames on your body. If you don't run into the river quickly, you will be burned to death. Ji-Fei repeatedly waved the deed of the underworld in his hand, and several continuous flames dotted the ground, burning all the river crocodiles one by one. But Ji-Fei's power to control the flames only made the group of river crocodiles feel burning pain, so they must run away, right? Ji-Fei followed Valeria's request and did not aim to kill the group of river crocodiles, so he could only use this more tactful method to fight. But this method is also the most suitable for the scene in front of him way out. Just as Ji-Fei himself guessed, the group of 1,000-year-old river crocodiles couldn't bear the combined attack of the fire cloud crane's flame and the slash of the deed of the underworld. One by one rushed along the river bank and rushed into the Wu River. In the past, that speed was too fast. It seems that he is not as stubborn as I imagined. Ji-Fei landed steadily on the boulder and stared at the fleeing river crocodiles with a slight smile. This is the best result, right? If you look carefully, the river crocodile ran down in a hurry, as if it didn't even dare to pop its head out, right? 1,000-year level soul beasts don't have the idea of never giving up until they achieve their goals. They are very life-threatening. If it is other soul masters, they may not be able to defeat this group of 1,000-year-old river crocodiles, but you can completely restrain them by flying. Hearing Yi Lanshan's words, Ji-Fei also nodded. That's right, that's the truth. The flame of my Huoyan Wuhan is also quite special, enough to burn a 1,000-year level spirit beast. Now, well, this is considered to be a kind of fire. Solved it. Welia looked at Ji-Fei gratefully. Thank you for not killing these soul beasts. Ji-Fei said, you don't need to say thank you. I was just fighting off these crocodiles. But you, this time, let me know the relationship between elves and soul beasts. Okay, let's go quickly. The river crocodiles have receded, and there is no danger at all. No, these river crocodiles are not dangerous at all. They are just special stepping stones. Well, according to the distance, it seems that it doesn't take long. Now it's in the upper reaches of the Wu River, and there shouldn't be any soul beasts or dangers. After all, the general soul beasts dare not approach the upper reaches. Ji-Fei was a little surprised. Is there such a reason? Because it's close to the elves? Yi Lanshan replied, well, that's right. The coercion of the elves is very strong. Although the elves consider spirit beasts as friends, the spirit beasts are either afraid of powerful elves, or I just want to increase my strength by devouring them. End of this chapter. Chapter 278, The Domain of the Elves. 1. As Yi Lanshan mentioned, after the sudden battle after the river crocodile, there were no spirit beasts to find their troubles. It is worth mentioning that, when they arrived at the end of the Wu River, which is the birthplace of the upper reaches, they suddenly discovered that the Wu River actually flows out of a huge vat covered with moss, which surprised Jifei. The Fog River actually extends from such a place? After Yi Lanshan's explanation, Jifei gradually became clear. According to what Yi Lanshan said, the name of the big vat was Wachi. Although the name wasn't true, there was no way they could choose such a name. They could only be sure that the name of the vat was Wachi. The fog pool was set up by the elves. It was set up to help those spirit beasts provide specific drinking water. It was also to nourish the dense forest in the Mizzen Grand Canyon. Water is the continuation of life. Only because of water, the entire Mizzen Grand Canyon, the canyon became more alive. The amount of precipitation in the Mizzen Grand Canyon is very small. Although it is covered by fog, it is not enough to nourish the growth of trees, so the effect of the fog pool has become particularly significant. The water flowing out of the fog pool will never dry up. As for the principle, who knows, it may be caused by the very special magic used by the elves, but it cannot be replaced in the sense of existence. After crossing the fog river, the whole person's vision is much clearer. There is no fog here. You see, there seems to be an invisible film between the two. It's really amazing. Jifei saw that there was still fog not far away, but there was no fog at this side. This kind of strange sight is rare. There is no fog in this area. If you fly into the sky now, you will find that there are dense green forests all around and there is no difference from the outside world. This is equivalent to expanding the ability of Quack to dispel fog to a certain extent range, and has been maintained for a long time. It's a wonderful feeling. I'm afraid it needs to consume my own strength, right? Jifei said in admiration. It's okay. It's like a special kind of domain. It's the stubbornness of the elves. He's weaker than greed, so it's not easy to provoke. Yi Lanshan recalled that the stubbornness of the elves was somewhat with a helpless look. It seems that he feels a little admiration for such a guy. It seems that there are really many powerful beings in this world. When Elia pointed to a high slope not far ahead, standing there, you can see the place where we live. It is an elf paradise built around a huge sacred tree. My grandfather lived on that huge tree. Isn't that right? Are you sure it's a huge tree? Isn't that slope very high? If it's a tall tree, we can definitely see it from here, right? Jifei asked with some doubts, while standing on tiptoe. My line of sight is almost level with that hillside, right? No, it was higher, but I didn't see any tall trees. Yi Lanshan dragged Jifei and walked quickly up the hill and said mysteriously, you will know when you get there. What? You're still so mysterious. Jifei walked and observed the front. No matter how you look at it, it's a normal dense forest, right? Where are there any towering trees? When Jifei and Yi Lanshan stood on the hillside for a moment, Jifei admitted that he was wrong. Absolutely wrong. What kind of scene is in front of him? The colorful halo is constantly swaying in the distance. Unlike the deep green ocean, that one is a light green ocean. The leaves of every tree grow slightly shaking, but there is no sound or sound. Any wind that blows, the ocean of rhythm carries through everything. A towering giant tree in the distance. Yes, as Yi Lanshan said, it is really a huge tree. The dense light green almost covers the surrounding hundreds of meters, should not be said to be thousands of meters. Down, the moment the dazzling sun swayed down, everything was gorgeous to the extreme. Is this the ocean of life? When Jifei saw this scene, he could only use this sentence to describe it. What was flowing was the breath of life, and it was not only a special color, but also a special kind of sustenance. When Elia said slightly depressed, what you see now is indeed very novel, but when you have stayed here since birth, and looked at the exact same scenery every day, you will feel that this place is not beautiful at all. It's even a little scary. From when Elia's words, Jifei could understand how much she was tortured by this place. Maybe for her, this place was both heaven and hell. Yi Lanshan said excitedly, it's been a long time since I came here. The breath is still the same. The feeling is also the same. It's really the same as that sentence said. It would be a pity if you came to the Lost Canyon and didn't take a look at the elven secret realm. Fei could clearly see a flying elf with wings not far away that seemed to be approaching them. Are you here? Welia hid beside Yilanshan in fear, as if she knew the identities of the flying elves. Is it the elf army? It seems that they discovered that Viliria is missing. Maybe they are going to go out to look for it, but now they feel Viliria's aura, so they rushed over. Yilanshan also looked at the flying elves. Said slowly, the elf army is a team composed of very powerful elves. They have powerful strength, and each of them is a top combat force. Usually, it is to maintain the order of the elves and protect the elves from being invaded by other races. It is also necessary to punish those elves who violate the family rules, and the authority can be said to be extremely great. Princess Virila, you are finally back, my lord. Leaping forward was a group of male elves, who were much taller than Valera in terms of body size, wearing well-fitting armor, and waving their wings, which could be regarded as full of coercion. But when they saw Yilanshan and Welia standing on Yilanshan's shoulders, their originally stiff expressions instantly became gentle and respectful. Princess. Fei inexplicably felt that the real identity of this Welia might not be so simple, could it? An elf princess, then this kind of status is really honorable, and the disappearance of ordinary elves needs to trigger a wave of beasts to find them. So what about the missing princess of the elves? Fei couldn't imagine what the entire Lost Canyon would have been like if he and Yilanshan hadn't brought Welia back. End of this chapter. Chapter 279, The Domain of the Elves. 2. Yilanshan looked at the uniform appearance of the group of elf troops in front of her. She must be about to set off soon. Luckily the time has caught up. Otherwise the trouble might be really big. We happened to meet Lost Welia during the trial in the Lost Canyon, so we almost brought her back. Yilanshan briefly introduced the process of meeting Welia and the matter of her return, but she didn't tell about the river crocodile and the villain of chaos. It just attributed to the fact that Welia got lost and couldn't find her way back. So after wasting so much time, I didn't intend to leave the realm of elves. The elf in the head said to Yilanshan with great respect, my lord, thank you very much. If you hadn't brought the princess back in time, the elders and the others would have gone out to look for the princess in person. If that happened, it would really be a disaster. Princess, you are really too careless. You lost your way and abandoned the path. After all, he is the grandson of Elder Kikimi. Even if you really don't like him, at least you can't fool him like this. Bah. Brother Lulu, I really don't want to stay with that guy, and I don't want to stay here all the time. It's too boring. I've decided to go out with the Lord and this guy for an adventure. The headed elf is named Lulu, who is a very powerful new generation among the elves, and belongs to a very important position in the elf army, and has watched Welia grow up since she was a child, so she pays great attention to Vilia's safety. Lulu glanced at Fei and the little chaotic man on Fei's shoulder. Her light yellow eyes kept scanning with doubts, as if she was so familiar with Fei. I don't know who this is. Fei smiled slightly and replied, my name is Fei. He's my man, so you don't have to ask so much. As Welia said, according to her own wishes, I'm going to meet that stubborn old man and discuss some things with him. Yilanshan's complexion gradually turned cold, come down, and said to Lulu almost in an orderly tone. Lulu didn't dare to refute anything, so she nodded. Since the Lord is here, we will definitely open the way to meet you, please. Fei, let's go. Oh. Lulu in front guides the way forward, while Fei and Yilanshan follow behind the elves. After stepping into the light green ocean that he saw before, Fei feels his whole body relax. It feels comfortable, as if there has never been any other than the baptism of the evil god Spring. Right, well, Yilanshan's massage is also very comfortable. Lulu asked Yilanshan while flying, did the Lord come back with Lord Greed this time? Yilanshan replied, well, there are some people in the same company. We are all greedy students. During this period of time, we are all practicing in the Lost Canyon. The trial should continue for a while. Lulu nodded and asked cautiously, my lord, why does the breath of this little brother next to you feel so familiar? Have you seen it somewhere before? Or have you heard of it? Fei has lazy domain power, so he has learned a little bit. Lulu leaned down slightly and approached Jifei's forehead. Her eyes were fixed on Jifei, as if she was looking for something. I felt a little embarrassed to be stared at so closely by Jifei, but now I couldn't talk to him at all, and Yi Lanshan had reminded me not to expose myself, so just shut up and watch more. After all, Jifei's original attributes are like this, and his head hurts when he talks too much. It's really the breath of the Elf King. I didn't expect you to have the domain power of the Elf King. What a great existence. Where is the Elf King? Lulu was obviously asking Jifei. Perhaps in Lulu's opinion, the Elf King's aura is very friendly. At the same time, communicating with Jifei is definitely more comfortable than communicating with Yi Lanshan. After all, it is such a terrible guy who made a mistake. If I say it, I might lose hundreds of years of life. Ask me. Jifei pointed to himself, as he had just agreed to say less. Lulu suddenly nodded her head and looked much younger than Viliria, which was very inconsistent. For laziness, it seems to have left this continent. He said he was going to find his friends, and then he left me a token, and then I entered the field of laziness under the guidance of Teacher Greedy. Saying that Jifei raised his hand, a wave of turbulence different from soul power instantly flooded away, like a microwave green halo mixed with some colored light circles, and then released, and even Jifei himself felt a strong vitality moving towards him gathering around. This is a power he has never felt. Moreover, the elves, including Lulu and Elia, were extremely excited, and the eyes they looked at Jifei were full of admiration and faith. This is not right. Jifei looked at this, as if it was different from his low-key code of conduct, but it seems that he can't be blamed for it, right? Originally, I wanted to show the laziness field that I have experienced, but the laziness field is not like this, right? But why does it become such a feeling full of vitality when it comes here? At the same time, when the villain of chaos on Jifei's shoulder raised his hand, he faltered and said, yes. And under the attention of other people, the green light of life in the lazy domain, which is exactly the same as Jifei, appeared in the little hand raised by the villain of chaos. Hiss, could it be that this one is also? Lulu looked at chaos in surprise and frowned. Is it an elf? Could it be the son of the Elf King? Yi Lanshan reminded from the side. This is Jifei's martial soul, a rather special martial soul. You should also know that this is the era of soul masters. Soul masters use martial souls. This martial soul is called chaos. You can think of it as this. He is Jifei's son. Then it's not yours? Jifei tilted his head and looked at Yi Lanshan. Yi Lanshan replied angrily, yes, he can be considered my son, right? At the same time, Yi Lanshan looked at Lulu who wanted to touch chaos. So, he is just a martial soul, but he has the ability to think independently, and now he can speak. Can I touch it? Lulu asked Jifei, her eyes full of curiosity. It's okay, he doesn't bite elves. Jifei nodded to indicate that Lulu has no problem at all satisfying your curiosity. No. At this time, Valiria stood in front of the villain of chaos. You can't touch it. If you destroy chaos, who will marry me? Hiss. Marry a princess. Is this guy going to marry a princess? How is this possible? How can the princess marry such an unknown guy? Stupid. This chaos has the domain of the Elf King, so it may be arranged by the Elf King. End of this chapter. Chapter 280 The Domain of the Elves. 3. All the elves present were shocked by the words of Vilia. Did they feel that their long and pointed ears had heard it wrong? Or did Princess Virilia say something wrong? But the simple thing is that, if Lulu wants to touch chaos, there shouldn't be any problem, right? At least there will be no danger, right? Princess. Lulu's eyes were full of doubts, and the outstretched hand also retracted. She looked at Wenelia in disbelief, and at the same time, looked at Jifei's chaos and Yi Lanshan, as if she had some guesses in her heart. Viliria looked at Lulu and said, this is my business, brother Lulu, don't ask so many questions. Hurry up and take us to see the elders. I will make it clear in person. Jifei looked at Wenelia. It seemed that Wenelia's whole person seemed to have changed since she stepped into this elf realm, and she didn't have the weak temperament just now. On the contrary, she gave people feel full of pressure, and the aura is completely bursting, which is exactly in line with the name Lulu called the princess. Lulu seemed to be aware of the seriousness of this matter, so she didn't say much. After all, he was only a member of the elven army and he didn't have the ability to solve such a difficult matter in front of him. Therefore, the most important thing is to take Wenilaya and others to the elf god tree to meet the elders as soon as possible. It was only after entering the realm of elves that he had watched before that Fei refreshed his knowledge. It turned out that the life of elves is almost the same as that of humans. Although there are no houses built, elves have built livable houses on tall trees. Rest life in at point. The scope of the Lost Grand Canyon covered by the realm of the elves is very large, accounting for nearly 1/3 of the area, so it can be completely self-sufficient, and the elves, who are the darlings of the earth, will naturally get gift. Is this the feeling of being there? When you look at this huge tree from a distance, you don't have such a shocking feeling. Now let's face it, no, it's a miracle to find this tree when you stand at its feet. Ordinary existence. Fei and the others have attracted a lot of elves to stop and watch when they entered the realm of elves, but they all watched from a distance, and they don't know whether they are afraid of humans or the terrifying majesty of the elves led by Lulu. What caused by the momentum? This is the center of the elves' domain. This sacred tree is called the elves' sacred tree by the elves. It is one of the miracles that the earth bestowed on our elves. Dewdrops have the effect of prolonging life and can also heal injuries, especially the essence of dewdrops gathered at the top has been condensed for many years, and the power it possesses is even more terrifying. Lulu briefly introduced the origin of the huge and dense elven god tree and the significance of its existence. Obviously, this elf god tree is equivalent to a godlike existence to the elves and must not be desecrated. Fei took a closer look at this elf tree. Just standing below, he could clearly feel that the aura of life gathered under his feet was being continuously diluted, and it was flowing along the soles of his feet towards all parts of his body with point. A subtle, very subtle feeling is transforming Fei without hesitation. Although Fei did not explain it this way, there is absolutely no mistake in that feeling. After all, Fei is also a very keen existence, at least after becoming a soul master maintains such a state. Papa. Lulu clapped her hands twice and then watched the stairs made of rattan extending slowly towards them, as if growing naturally without any mighty momentum. It's so amazing. It seems that the place where the so-called elders of the elves live should be above the self tree. I don't know what will happen next. Fei glanced at chaos on his shoulder. This chaos didn't seem to be worried at all whether the current situation was dangerous or normal. It simply stood on Fei's shoulder, feeling that it was constantly feeling the surrounding environment. Get up the special breath of life. The green staircase quickly extended down. If you look closely, the staircase is embellished with special vines and green leaves. As for the degree of hardness, it is not difficult to guess. After all, it is made of vines extended from the elven god tree. It seems that a lot of special powers have been added to it. Everyone please, the place where the elders live is at the top of the elven god tree. If you want to chat, you need to reach the top of the elf god tree. Lulu made a gesture of invitation to Fei and Yilanshan go up the vine stairs. Let's go. Yilanshan glanced at Fei and said so, then stood on the vine stairs. Very strong vine stairs, at least in Fei's opinion. It should be a very strong one, at least it can support their combined weight. Fei feels that he is very light. Of course, Yilanshan must be heavier than Fei light. Nodding his head, he stood cautiously on the vine stairs. Fei just felt soft under his feet, as if he was stepping on the soft grass. The extraordinarily comfortable feeling was like someone was massaging your feet. You also don't get a special hollow feeling from being too soft. Wonderful stairs. The extended vine steps began to retract in the original direction. It turned out to be a special step that automatically retracted. This is really an eye-opener. Maybe the self tree really has a special life. Otherwise, what is it possible to do this step? If Fei sees those guys later, just keep silent. Don't be too revealing with the previous sentence, otherwise this matter will become very troublesome. I will smooth things over for you. Yilanshan, a voice sounded in Fei's mind again with a very solemn voice, which seemed to be a warning. I see, don't worry. Fei also simply responded to Yilanshan. Although he didn't know the reason, he felt that he didn't need to know so much. Since Yi Lanshan would say that, she would have her own reasons. Fei also felt that he had a special and strange feeling after coming to this elf realm. The speed of ascent was still very fast. Fei was also a little surprised when he looked at the reference objects that were constantly being surpassed around him. It seems that the height of this elf tree is really unusual. Maybe the one he saw from the hill before, but it's just a general appearance. Only when you climb to the top of the elven god tree and look into the distance can you see the real scene. End of this chapter. Chapter 281 The Beautiful Fairy Dance. 1. There is no doubt that Villyria is the princess of the elves, but Fei always feels that it is not that simple. Although he does not know the overall structure of the elves, this Princess Villyria should not be the daughter of the Elf King, right? At least Fei hadn't heard that the Elf King, the evil god Douluo, had a daughter, but it was true that he had a sister and was the wife of undead Douluo. In a blink of an eye, Fei and his party arrived at the top of the elf god tree. Although it is said to be the top, it is not really the top. There is still a green shade covering it, so it can only be said that it has reached the top of the tree. It's just the limit position of the rattan ladder. Looking from a distance, Fei seems to be able to see the surroundings of the Lost Grand Canyon, as if the fog shrouded in the distance is crawling under his feet. It is worth mentioning that there is a sudden platform on this elf tree. A huge palace was built, but it seemed to be made of trees. It's a miracle that such a big hand can build a palace on such an elf tree and keep it in a stable state. Fei felt that the place he was standing on was actually the ground. If he hadn't had personal experience, Fei would definitely say so. Yi Lanshan said via voice transmission, "Do you feel a little familiar?" Fei looked at the palace carefully, as if he was really familiar with it. "This is very similar to the palace of the evil god Douluo." Yi Lanshan continued, "Well, laziness is a very nostalgic guy. From this, you can also understand why the relationship between him and undead teacher is not good, and laziness is a difficult guy to get along with." Fei thought about it. It seems that this is not the case, right? From the time he gave himself the token to the conversation afterwards, Fei felt lazy. That is, evil god Douluo is a very gentle person, right? That's just a knife-mouthed tofu heart. This kind of thinking is limited to you. Come here. It seems that this time we may not leave here so easily. According to Yi Lanshan's reminder, Fei also saw Lulu, who was going to report, leading several flying elves flying out from the main entrance of the palace. The leader is an old elf with a goatee. Maybe Fei is a little face blind. Fei feels that elves of the same gender really look similar, especially the few old elves that came out this time. It's really not much worse. And shouldn't we usually go in and meet the elders of the elves? Why are the elders of this group of elves coming out to welcome us now? Well, Fei feels that this is borrowing Yi Lanshan's light, as if Yi Lanshan is a very special existence in the entire Lost Canyon. The first elder of the elves, Jingyi, pays homage to the Lord, and the elder who claimed to be Jingai set his eyes on Fei, seemed to be hesitant, and then bowed. "Master, you are back again." Fei looked at Yi Lanshan and saw that Yi Lanshan was just standing there with a slightly indifferent expression, completely controlling the current aura. After thinking about it, Fei felt that he couldn't be stage fright, right? Don't talk and show your breath. But the number one elder of the elves has such a question mark, and he even worshipped himself, which is too frustrating. "Hello, Elder Jingai. I'm sorry for bothering you this time." Fei slightly nodded his head and said calmly, which was a response to Jingai's kindness. Jingyi quickly replied, "Hall Master, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Whether you are disturbing or not, Okay, old stubborn, we are not here to catch up on the old days. We have something to talk about, and the first thing is about Villyria." Yi Lanshan hastily interrupted Jingai's plan to continue talking, and at the same time, revealed their purpose for coming here. Although he was called old and stubborn, Jingai didn't look angry at all. The elders standing behind him should also be the elders of the elves, and they seemed to be used to it, and there was nothing wrong with it. "Villyria." Jingai's eyes fell on Villyria, and then looked at chaos on Fei's shoulder. Fei could tell that this was not forcibly bonding the two guys standing on the shoulders together. That luck seemed to know what happened before. And of course it might be what Lulu just mentioned. Yi Lanshan didn't wait for anything and said simply and clearly, Valeria has her own plan. I hope Elder Jingai can agree, and you can also see that Chaos has the domain aura of the Elf King on his body, although he is now not an elf, but I'm sure he will slowly change in the future, and maybe he will eventually become a brand new Elf King. Jingai was a little troubled. He could naturally perceive the familiar aura of Chaos. If it was someone else's elf, he would of course agree without hesitation, but Valeria was a little too strong. To tell the truth, my lord and the whole lord, the old man also knew what happened before, so I have been waiting for the arrival of the two of you, but according to Valeria, I have concluded an elf marriage contract with the grandson of Elder Kikimi. Is there such a thing? Yi Lanshan frowned. If she didn't tell the cause and effect of this incident, she would naturally know that this spirit has a strong perception power. He would know everything that happened in the Lost Grand Canyon, so it is not true. So much to say, but why did he bring Vilya back to the elves in the first place when she left? With reason. Vilya nodded. Her small face was also very ugly. As an elf, she naturally knew what kind of contract between elves is like a lock without a key, and there is no tricky way to unlock it. Only use brute force. My lord, but I really don't like Kurosa. He can go and understand him on the Wind Reviewer in the elves. I don't want to explain too much in this regard. You should also know this. Grandpa, right? Jingai sighed. That's right. That kid's reputation is indeed not very good, but as the #1 strong man in the younger generation of our elves, he will definitely be the pillar of our elves in the future. So Xiaoya. Why does Ji-Fei feel that this is a bit bloody? They seem to be villains who came to divorce the engagement, but the target of the divorce, Cluser, seemed to be a very powerful guy, which was different. Then are you going to sacrifice me, Grandpa Jingai? Valeria's tone suddenly raised. It seemed that it was because of suppressing it for a long time, or because she really hated that Kurosa to the extreme. I don't know. If Elder Kikimi is here? Yi Lanshan's gaze was easy, and she quickly placed it on a gloomy female elf behind. You must be Elder Kikimi. I give you two choices. Take the initiate or break the contract. The second, die. End of this chapter. Chapter 280 to the beautiful fairy dance. 2. Ji-Fei's eyes circled back and forth between Yi Lanshan and the elf that Yi Lanshan identified as Kikimi, and he was extremely surprised. This is definitely the first time Ji-Fei has seen Yi Lanshan be so tough. Right, there's definitely nothing wrong with it. This kind of Yi Lanshan is really domineering, and gives people a feeling that she is almost not afraid of anyone. Jingai didn't seem to be surprised by this, but turned around to look at Kikimi, and said slowly, the lord is right. This is the grandma of Kuluz, who is also the 10th in the list of our elves. Elder Kikimi. Yi Lanshan smiled. Didn't the 10th elder get the title of Jing-10? It's better that way, so as not to say that we kiking bully your elves, and Jingai Elder Valeria is my daughter-in-law. You tell me what to do, and Elder Kikimi, tell me your answer. Elder Kikimi is an image of a wrinkled old woman, with a slightly bent waist. Her raised head is full of gloom. She has no way to refute. She knows the origin of the other party. That is definitely not what they can do. Provoking presence point. But is she willing? Obviously, the plan is about to succeed. How come such a guy suddenly came? Kikimi's withered eyes quickly moved to Jingai's body, thinking secretly, could it be that he discovered that our lineage wants to rebel? Impossible. The words of the other elders are very tight, and they more or less have a handle in my hands, and will never dare to resist me. Ji-Fei really wants to tell Chaos that you should now shout for your mother's mighty domineering spirit. Although you are only a martial spirit, I, Ji-Fei, are not too weak in this respect. My own wife has put pressure on him. How could Ji-Fei do it again? Stand here and ignore it? Elder Jingai. Ji-Fei's words carried weight, and the silent spirit quickly looked at Ji-Fei. Hall Master, you have something to say, but it's fine. You don't need to restrict yourself to this old man. Our king once said that, as long as the two of you come to coming here is equivalent to the presence of the king, and we must be respectful. Ji-Fei quickly waved his hand. There is no need to be respectful. What I want to say is also very simple. Let Valeria choose for herself. We shouldn't involve too much. After all, we are all important existences. Young people, let's just watch and emulate the things of a lifetime. When Ji-Fei said this, he had a strong sense of disobedience. Even though his physical age was only about 6 or 7 years old, he could say such mature words. The same was true for Yi Lanshan, who was obviously 6 or 7 years old. He looks like a young man, but every word he utters carries extra weight. Jing Yi said to Ji-Fei very respectfully, "Hal Master, you don't know something. The parents of this child, Xiaoya, left with the Elf King a long time ago, and now they don't know where to go. When the Elf King left, he gave Xiaoya the spirit the title of princess. Do you know what it means to marry Xiaoya, successor to the Elf King?" Ji-Fei usually glanced at Kikumi, and he seemed to have thought of why Kikumi was so obsessed with Vili Raya. Jing nodded. "That's right, it is to inherit the Elf King. The old man brought Xiaoya up, since she was a child, and she is now her only relative. In fact, our elves have always had such a family rule. Once the elves reach the stage of marriage, if the parents specify, then there will be a competition, and the status of a princess like Xiaoya naturally requires the strongest of the younger generation of elves to be the fiancé. So, did elder Kikumi's grandson win the final victory in the competition? Is it the strongest of the younger generation of elves? Then the elf contract was appointed. That's right, Hall Master, you are really wise and mighty. That's the reason. So you make it very difficult for me to do this. The elf contract is a lock without a key. Once it is locked, there is no other way to open it, except by brute force. Even if it is the request of the two of you, if you simply ask for the release of the contract as an old man, I'm afraid it will be difficult to convince everyone." Ji-Fei smiled slightly. This spirit is indeed the elder who is number 1 in the list, and his methods are indeed brilliant. Lanshan, it seems that the elves are not as stable as I imagined, right? This Kikumi seems to want to rebel. With the help of her grandson's status as the next Elf King successor, she wants to get rid of old stubborn people like Jingai. But Jingai is Jingai. Do you want to use our hands to eliminate Kikumi's lineage? It seems that at least half of these 10 elders have contact with Kikumi. Yi Lanshan replied, "It seems so. The evil god has not come back for a long time, after leaving the elf domain. In the eyes of many elves, this long disappeared elf king has been working for too long, and some people can't wait any longer. Even if they did this the day when the evil god Douluo came back, it would be just that Kikumi became the number 1 elder and also had real power. How should I help or not?" Ji-Fei still has to consider Yi Lanshan's opinion personally, as long as he walks swaggeringly according to his own ideas. Ji-Fei believes that, even if they take Vili Raya and leave this place openly, the group of elves didn't dare to attack them either. This was not arrogance, but a feeling in the dark. Although I really don't want to help, Jingai is right. If we leave like this, the elves will be hard to convince. It's just how we can help. Ji-Fei said, "Don't worry about this. Jingai has already thought about it for us. Didn't he keep saying that the elf contract is a lock without a key? If you want to open this lock, you can only rely on brute force. Chaos is coming to fight with Vilia's former fiancé, Kiruza. No, this is absolutely not possible." Yi Lanshan flatly refused, and her voice was loud. Even though it was a sound transmission, it was still very uncomfortable for the sound to explode in Ji-Fei's mind. Kiruza is the number 1 among the younger generation of the elves. Even if chaos is amazing, I'm afraid that there is no way to fight back against the elves. We can't do this for the safety of chaos. Ji-Fei naturally knew this too, but chaos was different from ordinary guys. If you judge chaos based on his age and the strength he showed by Ji-Fei's side, it would really underestimate him. Don't worry, I have my own measure. Chaos is not something that can be measured by the general concept of combat power. Ji-Fei looked at chaos on his shoulder. This guy's method is not simple. Maybe this time, chaos can come up with some powerful treasures at a critical moment. Moreover, if Chaos uses his Kunwu sword with all his strength, it will be enough to kill any Kilus. The ones like that were chopped into 8 or 9 halves. Chaos, work hard for your own happiness. Rest assured that I will accompany you, and you can use my soul power crazily. End of this chapter. Chapter 283, The Beautiful Fairy Dance. 3. The method Ji-Fei thought of was very simple. To use the weakest of chaos to defeat the strongest of the new generation of elf Kuros, and even Ji-Fei had a sense of vision that he wanted Ji-Fei to kill Kuruza. Jingai is indeed very shrewd. He wants to use Ji-Fei's hand to get rid of the hope of Kikime's lineage. In fact, he himself knows very well that Kikime's lineage will be afraid if Lily Raya marries Clues. Wouldn't it be possible to maintain the current stability? As the number one elder of the elf clan, Jingyi is a strong man who follows the elf king. His purpose is to protect the last piece of pure land left by the elf king. The last piece of pure land belonging to this world should not have such rebellion thoughts are born, even if they belong to the same family. Yi Lanshan said to Ji-Fei through voice transmission, there is always a sense of sight that we are here to be used. Maybe the spirit even counts your arrival. I thought he would not take the initiative to greet you, but he didn't. Thinking of him, he is groveling, completely different from the old stubborn image. Ji-Fei responded, forget it, he is an elder of the elves, and even though he is working for him now, Lily Raya can also be free. This is what you think, right? Lanshan. Well, Vilya should be free, but chaos. Yi Lanshan is still hesitant. She clearly knows the combat effectiveness of the number one being called young generation like you lose. At least it is among the top titled Douluo in terms of the strength of a soul master. On top of that, even the shackles are not level. After all, the elves use magic instead of soul skills, and soul skills restrict magic, and can do whatever they want. Don't worry, if you believe me, Vilya also believes in chaos. Ji-Fei looked at the villain of chaos on his shoulder. The villain of chaos was still in a dazed state. Maybe he was learning to speak, or learning to appreciate the atmosphere around him. Ji-Fei looked at Jingyi. He didn't have the slightest interest in the other silent elders of the elves. After all, in Ji-Fei's view, although Jingyi showed embarrassment, remembering Ji-Fei's hand, to get rid of Kikime's lineage, in fact he just didn't want to do it himself. So wouldn't the elves mean that he had a real power? No, in Jingai's eyes, the only one who can master the elves is the elf king. Elder Jingai, since this is the case, why don't we have a competition? Jing showed great interest, without any self-planning posture at all, and said in a deep voice, I don't know what kind of competition method the palace master is talking about. Ji-Fei said, you also said that an elf contract is a lock without a key and can only be broken by brute force. Then I can think that, as long as we have a friendly battle with Kikime's grandson, as long as we can win Eraya, just go with us. Even if you elves are looking for a princess, you don't need a princess. It has nothing to do with us. After finishing the proposal to Jingai, Ji-Fei looked at Lily Raya. The most important thing here is Lily Raya. Only she agrees. Lily Raya, do you think this is okay? Following us means giving up the position of princess. If you want to tell it, Lanshan and I will make the decision for you. If there are really some guys who want to use tough methods, I don't know how will you survive today. Virela hesitated. What she hesitated was not the princess of the elves, but the battle with Kuruza. She knew the power of Kuruza. Could she really win? Ji-Fei could easily see Lily Raya's hesitation, so he said, if you believe that we believe in chaos, then give a real answer. I hate people who deceive me. Tears filled Lily Raya's eyes, and she nodded continuously at Ji-Fei. Of course I'm willing, although I don't understand what the Lord said about love at first sight, but if it is chaos, it must be right. Ji-Fei smiled slightly and thought to himself, if chaos uses consciousness, you can win this battle quickly and oppressively. Otherwise you will let down a girl who believes in you. Damn chaos. Jing looked at Kikime and said in a flat tone without the slightest emotion, Elder Kikime, this is a proposal from the master and the whole master. Do you agree or? Although there is no threatening tone in the words, the smell of gunpowder in one sentence is extremely strong. If Jingai utters the second half of the sentence, it might be, do you agree or agree? Kikime's face was extremely embarrassing, and she even said that it is normal to squeeze out the gloomy water, but she still suppressed an extremely ugly smile and said, since it is proposed by the palace master and the master naturally, we dare not refuse, but is it too big to bully the small? If you fight my grandson, Lord, and Lord? How can two supreme bodies fight ourselves? Putting on a high hat, Ji-Fei also took a serious look at Kikime. This old guy is quite good at obedience, but he is afraid that the two of them have some powerful power, and they will not use it so easily. Ji-Fei smiled and said to Kikumi. Elder Kikumi was joking. I have said before that this is a struggle of the younger generation, and it is Chaos who is fighting with Lingzhen. The simple one can also be regarded as my son. Well, you can think of it this way, a simple one-on-one friendly battle. Kikumi is very scheming. She has sensed the power of chaos early in the morning. Except for a special trace of the Elf King's domain, it is completely an ordinary living body, and I don't know what the Master and Whole Master are thinking. Is it has your brain rusted from living too long? Want such a guy to fight his grandson? Perhaps the aura alone can defeat this guy called Chaos, right? Since the Palace Master has said this, what should you do if the Palace Master loses? Although Kikumi thought that she could ask for something from these two guys, how could she come if she didn't mention it? How about counter-attacking this spirit? Oh, what do you want? Ji-Fei asked back. I hope that the Master and the Master can recognize the absolute power of my grandson's next Elf King. How about it? It's just a verbal promise. Kikumi said very respectfully. This is her purpose. This elf seems to be old, but she is so indecisive. But she is just an elf. As long as the Palace Master and the Master recognize the existence of King Zed, even if the Elf King comes back, there is nothing you can do about it. You foolish old man. When my grandson takes control of the elves, then you just wait to get out of this elf realm. There is no place for you here, land. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 284, The Beautiful Fairy Dance. 4. Just a verbal promise. If this is the case, Ji-Fei might be grateful to this wily Kikumi. Is this Jingai stealing chickens instead of losing money? No, maybe I have misunderstood him. Or is he the same as me? Is it certain that, if you know chaos, you can win the final victory? Anyone with a discerning eye can see that the purpose of Kikumi's request is to fight back against Jingai. On the surface, Jingai is the number one elder of the elves, but elders are limited to elders, and in Kikumi's eyes Jingai one is a guy who is very loyal to the Elf King, and one is that his grandson Kuluz has been recognized by Ji-Fei and Yi Lanshan, so it is equivalent to being able to inherit the Elf King soon, even without Vilya. After all, to some extent they created the existence of the elves. Jinyi looked at Ji-Fei with a smile, as if telling Ji-Fei that I will leave this matter to you, and I will just wait for the final result. Okay, I thought what kind of request Elder Kikumi would make. If that's the case, Lanshan and I will naturally agree. So when it comes to the battle, Jinyi said, don't worry about this point. The Lord and the Lord, our elves have a special competition arena for fighting, which can defend most of the super magic. Even today's super Douluo can't destroy it, and I will wait for it. The 10 elders will personally supervise the battle and there will be absolutely no mistakes, and the rules of the battle are also up to the point, and there will never be any casualties. Right, elders? The rest of the elders standing behind Jinyi also said yes repeatedly. They all looked exactly the same. Ji-Fei didn't ask their names. Even if they knew, they couldn't recognize them. Kikumi stared at Ji-Fei's stupefied chaos and showed a thought-provoking smile. Not just ridiculed, but also a smile of relief at the fantasy that his grandson could become a great elf king. Anyway, when you smile, you don't have that kind of kindness. On the contrary, Ji-Fei has a deep sense of resistance. If you live with such a face all day long, Ji-Fei will be depressed within 3 days and will completely collapse within 7 days. In 10 days, Ji-Fei will say goodbye to this beautiful world. Master, my lord, let's invite you inside. The battles of our elves are all public, so we need to prepare to gather the elves to watch this battle together. Of course, it is also to prevent some people with ulterior motives. The guy wants to hurt you guys by cheating. While leading Ji-Fei and the others into the palace, Jinyi began to introduce the battle to Ji-Fei, saying that the battle was actually just a one-on-one fight point similar to the battle of ordinary soul masters. Two parties will use any form of method ability to knock down each other, as long as it does not involve other days. Any means can be used between the two, even if you use a treasure you carry, or a special hole card. It's all possible. Thinking of this, Ji-Fei became more confident. Chaos is absolutely invincible. Chaos is like a kind of gas. Even if it is scattered, it can gather in an instant, and Ji-Fei doesn't feel that chaos has pain. I feel this kind of feeling. For example, when Chaos was fighting poisonous bats in the cave before, this is how Chaos behaved. If someone else came into contact with poisonous bats, they would definitely be hurt, but Chaos has nothing to do with it. A strong defense strength is just a little bit. The most terrifying thing about Chaos is eat. Gobble it up crazily. Ji-Fei has already made plans for Chaos to eat that Kiruza. Well, since elves are very special, isn't Elf Martial Soul also very powerful? Anyway, this is Jingai's idea. If anything happens, just throw it all to Jingai. Entering the palace, Ji-Fei once again felt a wonderful feeling of the exuberant breath of life. The surrounding air seemed to be filled with a sense of comfort, and what he felt in his breathing was refreshing and sweet. The built-in palace is very large, but there are only 5 special seats on each side and a rattan chair on the high platform that is connected by vines around it. Apart from these, the whole palace is really empty and there is nothing else. There are no pillars to support the entire palace. The ground is similar to grass, but there is no soil at all. This is the best place to fight. Lord, what do you think? If you don't feel suitable, I will replace it with another one. Glaciers, islands, sky, deserts, and other terrains that you can think of. It can be created as a battleground. The power of magic, but as the dalling of the earth. If you can't change the terrain at will, you really can't be called an elf. Ji-Fei looked at Yi Lanshan. Yi Lanshan nodded, tacitly agreeing that such a venue is perfectly fine. Ji-Fei looked at Elder Kikumi. I don't know if Elder Kikumi is satisfied with this terrain. If not, you can ask Elder Jingai to adjust it. We don't have any opinions on this side. Hallmaster, you are just joking. Why would I ask for something? The Hallmaster said that there is no problem, so this is the grass. I will call Kiruza and ask you two to wait patiently. 2 chairs suddenly extended from the ground, which were exactly the same as the wicker chair at the top, and seemed to extend directly from the ground. Hallmaster, my lord, please sit down and wait for a while. Ji-Fei nodded and sat on the rattan chair. It was very comfortable and didn't feel that cold. On the contrary, it felt like the temperature had been adjusted to a standard level. Moreover, leaning on the rattan chair gave you the impression that someone was massaging you from behind generally. Weili lay next to Yi Lanshan's ear and didn't know what she was talking about, but it was probably about worrying about Chaos, or telling Yi Lanshan the details of Kilu's. How should this battle end? Thinking about it, Ji-Fei involuntarily cast his eyes on Chaos. From the perspective of love at first sight, Chaos is indeed lucky. Just make a decision. I just need to provide my own soul power. No, the chaotic villain doesn't need any soul power at all when summoned. It's considered autonomous. The little chaotic man opened his small eyes. The originally slightly transparent eyes now seemed to have a faint purple light, which was very similar to Ji-Fei's eyes, and the layer of white mist that originally wrapped the little chaotic man turned out to be turned into a piece of clothing, a short t-shirt. End of this chapter. Chapter 285 The Beautiful Fairy Dance. 5. Kiluz is a very strong elf. Although he is not as tall as Ji-Fei in general, every part of his strong muscles reveals strong strength, and the wings on his back are also very slender. There was a terrible anger, and the fitted clothes couldn't conceal his unique temperament at all. The first time Ji-Fei saw this Kiluz, he teased Yi Lanshan, is this guy an expert in bodybuilding, or did he grow up eating feed? Yi Lanshan answered Ji-Fei flatly, I can tell that this guy's IQ is worrying. Compared with Kiluz's muscular body and awe-inspiring anger, chaos on Ji-Fei's shoulders looked a little awkward, but it wasn't like that. If you compared it from the appearance, chaos was completely defeated. Wearing a cool t-shirt and shorts, chaos looks like a modern person. Maybe it was caused by Ji-Fei's fantasy just now, when he was imagining whether he should wear clothes for chaos. Just now Ji-Fei really thought that it would be nice if chaos wore a cool t-shirt. Although it was early spring, it wouldn't be cold in the Lost Canyon. The slightly protruding face of the chaos villain can be roughly seen now. It is indeed very similar to Ji-Fei, except that there seems to be a scar near the forehead, but this is also the white and clean chaos added a special heroic spirit. And after Ji-Fei told Yi Lanshan about the strange changes of the Chaos Villain, Yi Lanshan speculated that it might be the strong vitality of the elf realm that nourished the Chaos Villain and led to his rapid growth. This is not a bad thing. Ji-Fei also just felt that the chaotic villain was becoming more and more like an elf, but the ears and the like were the same as ordinary humans. Of course, the height did not change at all, which is why Ji-Fei deduced that chaos would become an important basis for elves. Elder Kilu Zepping flew up to Jingai and the others and saluted very respectfully, then looked directly at Ji-Fei and chaos on Ji-Fei's shoulders. Kilu said without anger and prestige, "This is the one in the legend, right? It's an honor to meet you, and my lord. It's been a long time." Yi Lanshan didn't pay attention to Kiruza, or she was talking with Wenliya, and didn't have time to pay attention to other people. This is one of Yi Lanshan's characters that Ji-Fei knows. When communicating with a person, even if the other person is very close to Yi Lanshan, she would not answer it. I'm honored to say that Ji-Fei is the exception. There's no need to say more about greetings. Ji-Fei looked at Jingai lightly. Elder Jingai should have made arrangements, right? Ji-Fei felt like he had been sitting here for a long time, right? After all, it should be fully arranged, right? Although I don't understand the way of communication between elves, if it has not been sorted out after such a long time, is the efficiency of this group of elves too low? There is another adult who is about to arrive. Please wait a moment for the master and your friends are also here. Master Undead. Are there you and the others? Ji-Fei was a little surprised. Don't elves hate humans very much? Why did you take the initiative to invite this time? And what kind of calculation is this sophisticated? He actually invited Undead Douluo. Do you want to let Kikumi see his charisma as the #1 elder? Yi Lanshan also came back to look at Ji-Fei. She was not too surprised, and then said, "Perhaps Elder Jing thinks we are too boring. Anyway, we are resting today. Maybe Sister Nana and the others are here. Can we still happily spend a day in the realm of elves?" That's right. The Lord is right. I haven't had a drink with Lord Greed for a long time. Today, I took this opportunity to invite Lord Greed, Lord Quack, and the friends of the Palace Master to the realm of elves as guests. Of course, what is in front of us now is this battle, and I want Lord Greed to witness it. That's it. Let's wait a while. Yawning, Ji-Fei thought to himself that, if he knew this, it would be better to just let Quack or Undead Douluo bring them here, and it would be a waste of time and money to go by himself. Energy. I'm a little sleepy now, but it is mostly because this elf realm is so comfortable that I want people to sleep. Glancing at Kikumi, there was something wrong with her expression. When she heard the word greed, it was obvious that there was a look of fear in her heart, and the wrinkles on her face were more or less gathered together. After waiting for a long time, the Undead Douluo finally came. Maybe Jingai didn't stipulate the time period when the Undead Douluo and the others should arrive, but seeing Jingai's appearance, he would definitely not dare to invite the Undead Douluo like this, right? I overslept for a while. Are you all in a hurry? Immortal Douluo's hearty voice sounded, and Ji-Fei immediately stood up and looked at Undead Douluo, who was led in by an elf from the outside. He stood on Undead Douluo's shoulders, and Ziyu and the others followed him up. Xiaofei, I didn't see you when I woke up this morning. I didn't expect you to come to such a beautiful place. You didn't even tell us. You are really a kid. Yan greeted naturally and heartily, and Undead Douluo it's very similar, as if they can't feel the tense breath in the air that is about to solidify. Brother Yan, I'm looking for a wife for chaos. Don't worry so much. Of course, Ji-Fei is not a restrained person, so he waved his hands in response to Yan. Oh, isn't that your Wuhan chaos? Isn't it? You really turned into a human. Sure enough, you are the strangest one. Curious, especially when I saw the chaotic villain wearing strange clothes now. I couldn't hold back my curiosity. It seemed that, because Hulina didn't see Yi Lanshan looking around, Hurao, who was walking beside her, seemed to be looking for Yi Lanshan's actions. Where's Lanshan? Ji-Fei pointed to the rattan chair beside her. Yi Lanshan was still talking with Wenliya there. I really don't know if it was because they were discussing some common topic or discussing other interesting things. Lanshan, Sister Nina and the others are here, and they are still looking for you. Fei told Yi Lanshan via voice transmission. You can really make a fuss. It's a rest day and you actually made such a fuss again. Yes, you should have something to trust. Immortal Douluo smiled and patted Fei on the shoulder. Actually, this can be regarded as an accident. This is also the matter of chaos and I have nothing to do with it. The main thing is that Chaos and Valeria are in love with each other. As my martial soul and my son, I must not be wronged. What do you mean, Teacher Immortal? Fei picked up Chaos with one hand and held it in front of Undead Douluo, wanting Undead Douluo to see if Chaos has evolved now. End of this chapter. Chapter 286 The Beautiful Fairy Dance. 6. Immortal Douluo stared at Chaos for a moment, then smiled lightly and said, there's nothing special about it, but overall it's pretty good. This is pretty good. If there is no other meaning, maybe Fei feels that Undead Douluo thinks that Chaos can defeat Kyulu's. Master agreed. Why don't you take a seat and watch this battle? Can you be a referee to guide this battle? Jingyi pointed to the many rattan chairs that were added to the side. That's fine. You all can find a place to sit at random. Let's watch Chaos show off today. Our duty is not to let others bully Chaos. Undead Douluo sat cross-legged on the rattan chair while talking. It looks very interesting. The others also looked at each other in blank dismay. Although they are not strong enough to face these elves, they will not be their opponents, but the momentum they should have must not be lost. Fei even said that Chaos is also his child, although it sounds a bit contrary. Harmonious but also true. Fei looked at the elves. They really didn't have any temper when facing the Undead Douluo. How could there be such a so-called strong image? Fei didn't know if it was because the Undead Douluo was too powerful or the elves have even bigger secrets. Hal Master, please. Chaos enter the arena? Jingyi looked at Fei and said slowly. Fei nodded, and everyone else had already taken their seats. Instead, the elders of the elves were floating in the air, with a feeling of being anti-client, while Fei and Yi Lanshan were still sitting where they were. Hulina and Huora invited Jingyi moved the wicker chairs of the two of them to Yi Lanshan's side, and quickly became friends with Valeria. Hulina said in a voice waiting for a child, little sister, are you an elf? You are so beautiful, and your elves are also amazing. I never thought that there would be such a gorgeous flower in the misty Grand Canyon surrounded by mist. Place. Yeah. I originally planned to sleep until I woke up naturally and practice for a while to continue sleeping, but I didn't expect Teacher Undead to bring us here, and all the original fatigue and drowsiness disappeared. Huora also lazily I stretched lazily. Valeria is obviously a little restrained. She can choose to hide from human beings, but these are friends of Yi Lanshan and Fei, and it is not easy to hide herself. Yi Lanshan looked at Hulina and said, Sister Nina, this is not a little sister. If you calculate according to human age, Valeria is about 72 years old. Hulina looked at Valeria in disbelief when she heard this. No way. Such a thing happened? It's too unbelievable, right? But anyway, your family is in chaos. Hulina and the others naturally also learned the cause and effect of this matter from Undead Douluo, and they don't know whether he saw it or Jingyi told it. Chaos. Hulina also knows that it is Fei's martial soul, but Fei's martial soul is special and can imitate other martial souls. They all know this, and it is a very powerful ability not very clear. Hey, Valeria, did you really fall in love at first sight? But looking at Chaos, he looks a bit similar to Fei. If it weren't for the age problem, I would really feel that this is Fei and Lanshan. You guys. What about the two children? Huora on the side was obviously very concerned about such a matter and looked forward to wanting Valeria to tell her about this matter in detail. Valeria was a little shy. Her pretty face was as rosy as a ripe red apple. She nodded shyly. Probably that's what you mean. The details are like love at first sight. Huora let out an O, and the raised voice made everyone present look sideways at the scene, performed by the four women. Fei was listening with a headache. Not far away was Yu, Yan, and Zhu Jiangxing, three old partners. They were all winking at Fei. Obviously, they were looking forward to and worried about this battle. Fei, who is the opponent of chaos? I also learned about the strength of the elves from the mouth of the immortal teacher. Can chaos win? Ziyu looked at a group of elves who looked exactly the same floating in the sky. Can't find anything with a maverick personality. Fei pointed to the grass on the ground. Brother Ziyu misread the place. The one standing on the ground is the opponent of chaos, named Kiros, the strongest among the young elves, but he is 100 years old over the age. The other 3 people could hear it clearly, and each showed an incredulous expression. Obviously, they were all frightened when they saw Kiros standing on the ground. Not only because of age, but also what the hell is this explosive muscle, and what is the image of this close-fitting tights? This seems a bit reminiscent of a pervert, right? Ziyu whispered to Fei. Fei, are you sure this isn't an elf pervert? Fei replied with certainty, I don't know if he's going to be a pervert or not. Anyway, he's said to be the strongest. Chaos needs to snatch his wife from him. Well, I've already thought about it. Yeah, take it away. My chaos must not be bullied. Ziyu showed a smile. It's a good relationship. Teacher Immortal is here. You can see Teacher Undead sitting here so lazily and casually that the elves don't dare to say anything. This is powerful. Even if we snatch a kiss, don't be afraid. Chaos is your son, so it is equivalent to our godson. Well, I like children the most. I have mentioned to Binga more than once that when I'm 15 years old, I must let her give me a son. At the end of the day, Ziyu's face was filled with a special sense of happiness. 15 years old. Binga, son. Fei felt that he had acquired a lot of special knowledge in an instant. It turned out that Ziyu was not alone, and this default seemed to be earlier than anyone else. Haha. Fei Qiang laughed a few times, and then said, Brother Ziyu said, I think chaos can fight against elves without defeat. Hey, don't sleep. The battle is about to start here. Why are you sleeping? Ziyu woke up Yan, who was sleeping with squinted eyes. Although he also felt a little sleepy, it was impossible to fall asleep in this kind of scene. Otherwise it would be so embarrassing. Yan opened his dim sleepy eyes and yawned. Why did I wake up naturally after falling asleep in the morning? So why am I so sleepy all of a sudden? Fei laughed and said, could it be that brother Yan and sister Nana chatted for a long time last night and forgot the time? That, I don't know. It seems that we haven't talked for long, right? No, it seems that we have talked for a long time, from childhood to later and now. End of this chapter. Chapter 287 Spirit Battle. 1. Yan is definitely a straight man. This point is infinitely refreshing. Fei's lower limit. Yan answered so seriously when he was obviously joking. Alas, I really don't blame Hulina for saying that he is a complete idiot. Ziyu couldn't stand it anymore. He raised his hand and patted Yan. Brother, don't you feel that my sister is a bit special recently? Yan frowned, then suddenly nodded as if inspired. Yes, I discovered this. Where? There's something special about it. Tell me quickly. Ziyu kept urging, hoping that Yan could give a correct answer. Fei stared at Yan very seriously, wondering if the straight male attributes mentioned just now disappeared so quickly, or did brother Yan suddenly become enlightened after absorbing the special breath of life in the realm of elves. Yan scratched his head and said a little embarrassedly, Nana has become more beautiful and gentle. It's not like this before. Ziyu was sudden, and Fei was dizzy. Everyone, today is a big event for my elf family. You must know the cause, right? Jingai justified himself from the top, and then the other elves, whether they were the elders or the elves standing around guarding, nodded their heads vigorously, as if what the elder Jingai said was right. Jingai nodded in satisfaction, with joy on his face. That's what our elves want, with a super understanding ability, and knows how to read words and expressions. Well, since this is the case, then I will invite Mr. Greed to give a speech for this decisive battle. Everyone applauds. Fei raised his hand and patted his forehead. He had already scolded this spirit hundreds of times in his heart. Is this a round table meeting? Need a speech? This is a fight. This is a serious fight. Master Undead will definitely not play with them. Before Fei muttered, Immortal Douluo's voice sounded from the other side, standing in front of the Elf King's throne on the highest platform. Well, good noon everyone. What we are seeing now is the annual, no, it's the only one princess battle of the elves. It's the happiest day of the year in this early spring, so we can get together. Fate. The old man is also very honored to be invited by this little guy to be this referee. Fei looked at Lanshan, and at the same time, said via voice transmission, did Lanshan forget to take his medicine when he went out this morning? Or is he not the immortal teacher? Where is the trouble? Lanshan also replied very puzzled, I don't know about this, but this person is indeed undead Douluo, but this image is a bit. Next, we invite both parties to appear on the stage. In this battle, we must fight, based on the principle of daughter-in-law second friendship first. It is impossible to point it out. If you show your true strength, as long as you can't kill me, keep fighting. Guag was standing on undead Douluo's shoulder, seemed to be unable to stand it any longer, and quickly turned into a size about 2 meters high, raised his hand and hurriedly pulled undead Douluo down. This face is embarrassing. If I knew it earlier, I wouldn't let him get drunk in the morning, and now such a moth. Ah, my life name. Everyone applaud. Jing applauded again and again, as if he didn't realize that these words were spoken by undead Douluo while drunk. Guagua put the immortal Douluo on the rattan chair, and when he used it, he released a faint blue smoke. This is Guagua's special spiritual energy with a calming effect. Therefore, even the spit out by the beast has a special effect of calming the nerves. Hey, Lanshan, don't the IQs of the elves generally look very high? Did this weird atmosphere make Fei feel a little terrified? A group of little guys kept clapping their hands and staring at them with cold faces. Shouldn't it? Jingai is quite smart. Maybe he's pretending, and he is the number one elder. The other elves must obey what he says, otherwise wouldn't it be a blatant rebellion? Fei nodded. That's right. Even that Kikumi and Kiluz were there applauding. It seems that they chose to rebel because they were poisoned by spirits. Right. If Fei was allowed to follow this talent, Fei would have turned against him long ago. Chaos didn't wait for Fei to issue an order. He jumped up and flew directly into the field. The field is quite large, and the ground is covered with green grass, but both of them can fly. It doesn't make sense either. The other side. Kikimi stands above the sky. Beside her is one of her proudest grandsons, Kluza. This man who possesses the most powerful power of the younger generation of the elves should become the existence of the elf king at the coming of age ceremony, but such a stubborn old man named Jingai said that the king will not return to the throne and will not pass on. Jingai is the first elder of the elf clan, and his status is second only to the elf king. Able to disobey and kick him his eyes. An old thing is an old thing, stubborn to death. Even though she said that the elves can't live without a king, but the old man would say that he is enough, although she wanted to refute. But the elves control the elves most of the power. Even if she wanted to refute it, it would not be so simple. HMPH. Today you really use the word old stubborn to the extreme. You didn't know what to do, and invited the master of Kiking Hall, the master of Kiking Hall, and one of Kiking's greed. Witness failure. However, it is very difficult for Chaos to be the son of these two. If Zera accidentally kills Chaos, wouldn't he be doomed? Kikimi tugged at Kiluz beside her, and then said seriously, grandson, even if you can't hold back your strength, you must not kill that Chaos, otherwise you will inherit a terrible inheritance. It's not the huge family business of the elves, but inheriting their ashes. It's good to subdue Chaos quickly. Even if we win, we only need to get the throne of the elves. Give it to the Hall Master and the others. Do you understand? Kiluz nodded. Grandma is whatever she says. You ask me to please Vilya, so I learned human thinking to please her. Now that you have found a better way, Grandma, I will naturally use the best way to please her. The way to become the Elf King. My ultimate dream is to become the Elf King and inherit his power. The tense muscles were like broken stones, and Kiluz's awe-inspiring eyes fell directly on Chaos on the field, revealing a strange smile. It seems good. If you miss it, who made you have a higher status than me? End of this chapter. Chapter 288 Spirit Battle 2. Kiluz has been very depressed these years. As the strongest young generation of elves, he shoulders a lot. According to his achievements and such a powerful force, he should inherit the title of Elf King and lead the entire elves when he comes of age. But it's all because of that guy named Lazy, who has left the elves for so many years, and has never returned since he left, and has not appointed who the next elf king will be. In other words, it would be a big deal for him, Kiluz, to defeat his heir, but that lazy man only recognized the daughter of another elf as a princess, which was too unfair to him. Could it be that he, a powerful man, obeyed the arrangement of the female elf king? No, this is absolutely impossible for him. This is a great humiliation. So his grandma Kikumi came up with an idea for him to get Vilya. If the new elf king is the man, he can also become the man of the elf king, and if he finds a chance to kill Vilya, then he can become the elf king in a legitimate way. He and his grandma Kikumi had been planning for a long time, and finally found an opportunity at the coming of age ceremony. The elves, especially princesses like Vilya, need to hold a competition within the elves after the coming of age ceremony, and finally get the strongest person who wins will become the princess's man. So Kirosa saw hope, just as he expected. He almost swept away all the opponents, and successfully won number 1, and also became the princess's man. But this Vilya actually dislikes him and disgusts him. Really, damn it, even though he is so wise and martial, this princess who doesn't know what is good or bad actually despises him. But there is no way for him to please this nasty woman in order to become the king of elves. Kiruza knows that this woman will not like him, but he doesn't care about those. The elf contract that has been formed can't be broken, no matter what. That's right, unless there is a new generation of strong people who can defeat him. But he can choose not to fight. He likes the feeling that I'm wearing the title of Princess Fiancé, and you want to challenge me, but there is nothing I can do. But now hope has come. The master of the Hall of Seven Emotions actually brought his son and that nasty princess to the door to get in touch with the contract with the elves. If you can use a woman to make friends with the master of the Kiking Palace and the Kiking Palace, it is definitely worth it. After all, even if it is as strong as the lazy one who has survived for an unknown period of time, it is both of them, and it is a waste of a woman. Wouldn't it be perfect to accomplish this thing? But his grandma Kikumi stepped up and came up with a better way for him. It can even allow him to obtain the throne of the Elf King today. Kiluz is happy. Kiluz is excited. Kiluz can't believe it. For the throne of the Elf King, I have to defeat this bastard called Chaos, and I even killed him by mistake. Who made him born with a higher status than me? It's actually the Lord of the Palace of Seven Sentiments and the Lord of the Palace of Seven Senses. Son, even if I become an Elf King, what am I worth compared to him? That's why I want to kill him. Kiluz clenched his fists tightly and made click-click sounds one after another, as if the many stones he held in his hand were crushed into powder by him in an instant. Then I will marry Vilya to the dead Chaos in the name of the Elf King. This way of expressing regret can also let the Lord of the Seven Sentiments Palace and the Lord of the Seven Sentiments Hall see my sincerity as the Elf King. In this case, the plan is perfect. Ha 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 ha. Kiluz, is indeed the #1 genius of the elves in civil and martial arts. An incomparable talent. Kiluz suppressed the excitement in his heart. He has been waiting for this day for almost 100 years. Under his leadership, the elves will definitely be able to stand at the pinnacle of this world. The family can only rank second. Kiluz has already made a plan. Once he controls the elves, he will attack the mainland with all his strength and take the entire Douluo board into his hands, making all human slaves of their elves. Remember what Grandma said just now, don't hurt Chaos, otherwise we will all be buried here. Kikimi once again reminded Kiluz when he left, this is not a joke. If not, today may change from a day of joy to a day of nostalgia. Kikimi is also very hesitant. She knows that her grandson's methods of doing things are extremely ruthless, and his strength is also unusually strong. What should I do if something happens accidentally? Chaos stood there in a short t-shirt and looked around in a leisurely manner. His lavender eyes gradually solidified, and his small body were really cute to the extreme. When it came to Yilanshan, there was also Weili Raya. Kiluz landed on the grass, carefully scrutinizing Chaos with his fierce eyes. Wearing a strange outfit, he looked so weak that he was a head shorter than him. And what the hell was the white smoke floating around his body? Are you as handsome as me in tights? Are my strong muscles strong? Are you Chaos? Kiruza asked. Chaos said, naturally. Fei looked at Chaos in surprise. could this little guy be able to speak freely so quickly? Sure enough, the more vigorous the place, the more it can promote the growth of chaos, but it seems that it is so tall, but it just needs to be a good match with Villy Raya. It turns out that you are not a dumb person who can talk. I was very annoyed at the way you looked like no one just now. It has been a long time since anyone dared to ignore me like this. Kiluz moved his fingers and made another clicking sound. Chaos's not very clear facial features showed a look of disdain. If you want to provoke me, you don't have to. I have inherited Jifei's father's excellent genes. For a bark like you, just treat it as your last words. Don't try to talk to me in vain. Chaos is more crazy than me. Besides Jifei's father, I'm the craziest. Of course, Yi Lanshan's mother is the most powerful. You should come to my body and become a kind of floating dust nourishment. Good. 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 Jifei stood up abruptly, applauded and clapped his hands again and again. This Chaos is really too smart. I love you so much, Chaos. It really is Chaos who follows me, and the tone of his speech is exactly the same as mine. Hey, what Chaos said is that I'm the best, so sit down honestly. Yi Lanshan's voice rang in his mind. Jifei gave Yi Lanshan a blank look. Didn't he make himself excited? End of this chapter. Chapter 289 Spirit Battle 3. Jifei opened up a huge barrier of soul power to cover the entire elf temple, and his unique domain force spread Jifei's expanded soul power evenly on every part of the elf temple. Zinran's greenery is more dense, and the special breath of life is full of it. There is also a reason for Jifei to do this. If he alone endowed chaos with powerful soul power, it would definitely not last long. If you don't show your true strength, a fiasco can be regarded as a compliment. Chaos was filled with white steaming energy. He stood there without any movement, as if he was waiting for Kuroza to make a move first. No, or was Chaos looking for Kuroza's flaws? Kiluz does not have the idea that a sudden attack is a despicable and shameless person. For him, he is preconceived and strikes first. As long as he wins, the elves will sing and applaud him. As long as he wins, he can sing one step at a time. Stepping onto the throne of the Elf King, he became the existence to lead the elves. The cane appeared out of nowhere, and the thick right hand tightly held a cane that looked like broken wood. This is the weapon used by the elves to drive magic. Of course, this is not a necessity, but it is just that there is such a medium to launch magic well to attack the enemy. 3 separate fireballs quickly condensed on the edge of the cane, and the orange flame kept beating, as if endowed with vitality. After that, Kuroza didn't make any extra movements, and the 3 fireballs instantly escaped from the control of the cane. It shot towards Chaos, and made a click and click sound when it skipped the air. Seeing that Chaos has no intention of evading, Kiluz smiled. Don't feel that this is just an ordinary flame attack. This is the magic of the spirit's attachment flame that has the nature of chasing. As long as it is locked by the attachment flame magic, it is considered as your escape. There is no way to escape to the ends of the earth, and the magic that attacks the opponent's attached flame will stop. The 3 attached flame magics were fleeting, coming through the air, and landed directly in front of Chaos. The heat was mixed with scorching, and other people who were far away could clearly feel it. Ziyu stared at the 3 flames and analyzed. The power of this fireball may have reached a very high level, even on attack above the Soul Saint. If Chaos doesn't dodge, isn't it waiting to be killed? Jifei also just replied to Ziyu indifferently. Look, Chaos is not that stupid. For him, nothing that escapes can hurt him. Just when Jifei was still imagining whether Chaos was going to show them the sword drawing technique in an instant, Chaos suddenly opened his mouth. It is not an exaggeration to say that the mouth that was originally nothingness is now a cherry mouth, but it is worth mentioning that a whirlpool-like thing suddenly appeared at the corner of Chaos' mouth, and 3 fireballs were sucked into it in an instant. The fireball disappeared in an instant, and it didn't offset it, it simply disappeared. This made everyone present dumbfounded. Why did the fireball magic suddenly disappear? Kiluz rubbed his eyes in disbelief. He clearly saw that the fireball had already passed in front of Chaos, but it seemed that he was sucked into the vortex by a vortex in an instant, and this was neither offsetting nor destroying it. Instead, it disappeared in an instant. What kind of magic are you using? Kuroza asked in disbelief. According to his calculation just now, the current world is dominated by soul masters, so the magic attack just now should be equivalent to a contra level attack. Although it is so simple, his power is stored in it now. Chaos yawned slowly and glanced at Killu's faintly with hazy eyes. If you feel that I'm using magic, then it is the killing elves of profound magic. Having said that, Chaos stretched out his finger to tick off the provocation, said, come on, let's hit as many magic spells as possible. I will lose if I move one step. Kiruza wasn't angry either, but he just clenched the wooden staff in his hand, and his lips moved slightly, as if he was reciting something. 3 ways to test the water are just to see if you are arrogant, let you see how powerful the elves are. Huge rocks appeared on the elf temple and the entire terrain changed. The original grassland suddenly turned into a muddy swamp. Almost half of Chaos' body was trapped in the muddy swamp, and the bound swamp was covered by Killu's added magical properties and cannot break free. This was what Kiruza had planned early on. After all, a small and nimble existence like them could not accurately attack and destroy the opponent with a single attack, so restricting the opponent's actions was the most correct way. The huge rock is at least 10 meters wide, and there is a layer of hot magma flowing above it. This is the plastic magic of the elves that can create anything made of elemental structures out of thin air. At the same time, changing the terrain is also a normal thing. After all, the elves are the darlings of the earth. Ji-Fei, I have a bad feeling. Yi Lanshan's voice suddenly rang in Ji-Fei's mind. Ji-Fei looked at the battlefield. There is the restoration magic of the elves around here, so even if it is destroyed, it can quickly return to its original state. But the battlefield, that is, the covered grass and the muddy swamp it has now become, cannot be changed back. Can Chaos swallow such a big stone? After watching Chaos being restrained in the muddy swamp, Ji-Fei also became a little worried. Chaos has no defensive power. Apart from relying on his powerful devouring ability, he is equivalent to a cloud of ethereal breath, and now Chaos has changed from the original mass. Mystique has almost turned into a living person, so can he resist such an attack? Moreover, even if the attack is swallowed again, Chaos has been bound in the muddy swamp. This is an indisputable fact. It may not be so simple to break free, right? I still choose to believe in Chaos. There is no other way. The battle has already begun, and I can't get it back. Ji-Fei sat slumped on the wicker chair and stared at the front. A trace of regret actually appeared in his heart. No, why does Ji-Fei, who has not fallen yet, feel this way? Ah, arrogant guy. Don't underestimate my title as the #1 elf clan. Enjoy it for me. The wooden pole was slightly tilted, and the huge rocks gathered above the head instantly fell towards the Chaos. The falling speed of the unrestrained huge rocks was completely abnormal, and the dripping magma fell into the muddy swamp and evaporated most of the water, as if the whole site turned into dry soil in an instant, and Chaos himself was buried in this dry soil, unable to escape. End of this chapter. Chapter 290 Spirit Battle. 4. Successful. Kill me. Killu's almost screamed excitedly. As an elf, he has strong melee ability, and the most powerful thing is long range attack, especially magic type attack. See it, no matter how powerful your identity is, it's still vulnerable to me. Killu's. The rocks wrapped in magma fell down in an instant, and Chaos was submerged in the rising water vapor. The surrounding restoration magic was activated instantly to gather a large amount of water vapor together, and the powerful impacts hit an invisible. The walls seemed to stop. Ji-Fei stood up abruptly, inexplicably feeling a trembling in his heart at the moment the rock fell just now. But he knew that Chaos wasn't dead yet. Although Chaos now had a human form and could leave the body, Chaos was still Ji-Fei's martial spirit in essence, so Ji-Fei didn't show any signs of injury, so Chaos was still alive. Suddenly a huge pitch black vortex appeared in the air and began to spin crazily, like a dragon sucking water. It absorbed all the water vapor and smoke around it. And the next moment, the chaotic villain who was originally bound in the solidified dry soil rushed out directly on the white water vapor. The Kunwu sword in his hand exuded a fierce blood-colored light, and he folded an unclear line, but it hit Kiruza directly in the blink of an eye. Killu's was stunned. He was in a state of bewilderment until the Kunwu sword fell on his neck. He looked in astonishment at Chaos, who held the Kunwu sword against his neck. The blade was just like that recently, He could clearly feel the sharpness of the sword, and he didn't need to think about it. He was sure that, if he swallowed a mouthful of saliva now, his throat would be cut off by the sword in an instant. Everyone present was stunned. Just now, the speed of chaos was so fast that it could only capture the beginning and the end, and the rest was only the white mist that was completely separated. When the sword arrived, the surrounding water vapor and dust were all absorbed by the black vortex. You lost. Chaos said in a firm tone. Losing? Killuz showed a weird smile. If you think I lost like this, you are very wrong. Magic may be the most powerful means of the elves, but it is completely different with me. Yes, my strongest is not pure magic attack. The face of chaos does not change, and the Kunwu sword in his hand is so stable that even swordsmen who have been practicing swords all year round cannot do this. This is the unique power of chaos. The only thing that rivals him is that he has not fully revealed it yet. Next, the game officially begins. With a sound of swipe, Kirosa, who was originally held down by Kunwu sword, disappeared from the air without any traces, and there was even an illusion that there were no air fluctuations. The chaotic villain looked back around, trying to find the disappearing figure of Kirosa, but he didn't find any trace of Kirosa. Just when chaos was still wondering, suddenly a huge fist shadow crashed down from the sky, and the shattered fist shadow directly slammed on chaos body fiercely, and the one who appeared immediately was Killuz's body shape. The Killuz at this moment is completely different from the Killuz just now, both in terms of breath and in his own aura. Strength seems to be the real synonym for Killuz. First of all, Killuz's body suddenly increased to more than 1 meter, which is much higher than the sum of several chaos, and the torn upper body exposed strong muscles, and every inch of it exploded with a powerful force. Power. The slightly dark body fell in front of chaos really like a hill. I'm afraid that the fist stretched out by Killuz alone is much bigger than chaos. With a bang, chaos was slammed directly to the ground, and his figure was almost embedded in the dry soil point just like what Fei said. The current chaos is almost a humanoid existence, and it cannot be avoided by turning into a cloud of white gas. When it is hurt, it can only be accepted and defended. Killuz hurriedly followed with an excited killing intent on his face. It was just an appetizer just now. Elf magic, fist power increase. The magic used by the elves to enhance their own melee ability can provide themselves with 10 times the power of their fists, and the time is not limited until the self ends. Elf magic, speed increase. Elf magic, leg strength increase. Elf magic defense increase. Elf magic, perception enhancement. Kirosa used boosts one after another, but in the blink of an eye, Kirosa's whole body became radiant with a unique light, and the terrifying power even sent out bursts of morning in the air, which could not contain all of Kirosa's power. Killuz is also very smart. Judging from the attack just now, he also knows that, if it is a long-range attack, the opponent, that is, Chaos, can use the special vortex and swallow it. The previous 3 elven flames, that's it, and the same is true of the magma rock just now, so he can only rely on close combat to solve the chaos, and as he sees the situation now, melee attacks can completely suppress chaos, but you can knock chaos down to the ground with a single punch. This has caused substantial damage, and it is not even known how many times stronger than long-range magic attacks. With the help of the air, he kicked down directly on the spot, and a huge shockwave swept away in an instant. Kirosa aimed at Chaos, who fell on the ground and dived again. He firmly believed that this blow would be able to bury such a ignorant guy and ruin him. All pride. Sure enough, elves are more powerful than magic in melee compatibility. Killuz thought that once he became the king of elves, he would definitely let everyone train his own magic according to his training methods. Otherwise, what should he do if he encounters a monster that can devour attacks like this? Chaos was dizzy. He could vaguely see Kirosa swooping towards him. He felt weak and uncomfortable all over his body. This was a feeling he had never experienced before. His difficulty raised his hand and touched the warm spot on his forehead, and when he looked closely, it turned out to be bright blood, and he would bleed. His body was almost transparent, and he couldn't see any blood, so how could he bleed? No, the most important thing now is not this. Chaos looked sideways at the Kunwu sword that fell aside from his hand. If he could get the Kunwu sword, it would be impossible. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 291 Spirit Battle 5. After chaos has a body similar to that of a human, it no longer has the strong defense power before. This is the only drawback, but there are still many defense methods that chaos has. Now, chaos can release its own special white mist to achieve the form of defense, but Kirosa is really too strong, and it is really difficult to deal with the opponent when chaos has almost not really mastered his own body. Seeing that Kilu's figure was about to fall down, Chaos suddenly opened his mouth, and the jet black vortex that had disappeared was exposed to the air again, and in the jet black vortex 3 flying flames rushed towards Kirosa with a huge magma stone. One of the special mysteries of chaos: eat it and spit it out. Chaos is not just about eating, of course. The current chaos should be said to rely on the jet black vortex to absorb it into the world of the jet black vortex, and it is completely controlled by chaos. Only a thought of chaos itself is needed. What was originally swallowed and absorbed can be released in an instant. This kind of ability can be regarded as having such a sense of sight of tit for tat. The huge magma boulder blocked Kirosa's attack smoothly, and Kirosa's falling speed was so fast that there was no chance to slow down. In an instant, his fist hit the magma boulder directly. The huge boulder, more than 10 meters, was directly turned into dust. Yes, not even a single piece of broken stone was seen, and it was directly turned into dust and scattered in the air. Kilu's body didn't stop because of the blockage of the magma boulder, and directly slammed into Chaos's body fiercely. Chaos spit out a mouthful of blood, and his originally fair face became pale in an instant. This scene made many people feel incredible. Fei suddenly wanted to rush to the middle to stop the fight. Chaos was undoubtedly completely suppressed now, but when Fei just wanted to rush out, Yi Lanshan stopped him. Chaos hasn't lost yet, trust him. Yi Lanshan's words made Fei stay where he was. He had agreed to this battle in the first place, and he also firmly believed that Chaos could win the final victory. But now that Chaos was being hit so hard, he really couldn't stand it anymore. Although he didn't feel the pain, how could he not be angry when he watched Chaos being beaten? Kilu's entire body stepped directly on Chaos' body, and Chaos' entire body was almost completely submerged in the ground. Stand up. Stand up. Weren't you crazy just now? Stand up. Are you a waste? Do you think you can be rampant because you are the son of the palace master? Bang. Kilu's raised his fist and slammed Chaos's face fiercely. The punch was so powerful that Chaos' cheek almost deformed, and fresh blood flowed out from the open wound. 1 punch, 2 punches, 3 punches. I can't control this much anymore. Today I, Fei, will kill this Kilu's, even if I try to die. Fei jumped directly to the top of the ring. If this continues, Chaos will definitely die, and he will never allow such a things happen. The lazy field is instantly opened, with additional abilities, eliminating all elf power. But when Fei was about to land on the ring, Wei Ria's figure directly surpassed Fei, and fell directly into the invisible film on the ring. Fei was a little different, but he didn't stop, and then stood on the ring. Wei Ria knocked away Kirosa, who was putting her feet on Chaos. She looked at Kirosa and shook her head again and again. Stop hitting. Stop hitting. I'll marry you. Don't hit anymore. Clues, who was knocked away by Wei Ria, showed a trace of anger. This chaotic life force is extremely tenacious, and his fist with 10 times the strength has not been completely smashed after so many hits. Now it seems that this matter it's getting too big. Damn it, I have to stop doing nothing and kill him. Kilu's glanced at Fei, who was rushing towards him. He directly slapped Vilya to the other side, which was surprisingly fast and powerful. After slapping Vilya to the side, he directly raised his fist. To save money, the force then slammed the killing blow on Chaos' head. Seeing this scene, Fei shouted loudly, "You're courting death." The oscillating sound swayed back and forth non-stop, and the purple halo on Fei's body instantly filled the entire space. In an instant, a crown tuck shape on top of his head, and along his head, it soon completely covered it, leaving a touch of silence. The divine light directly pierced Kirusa's body. The target was the head. All time and space stopped, and Kirusa's fist was less than a centimeter away from the dying Chaos. The strong wind of the fist directly blew away the blood on Chaos' face. But at this moment, Kirusa's head has completely exploded and disappeared without a trace along the neck, leaving only half of his body still on Chaos' body. The rest of the people seemed to be imprisoned. No one was an exception, even Yi Lanshan. Immortal Douluo remained in a comatose state, with an intriguing smile on the corner of his mouth, while Guagua stuck out his tongue. It was imprisoned before it was recovered. Chaos' eyes were full of reluctance, and when Elia, who was photographed aside, reached out to grab Chaos and bring him out, but it didn't work. Ji-Fei was panting heavily. The deadly silence around made people feel scared. Ji-Fei didn't know what was wrong. Stroked the top of his head, the original crown disappeared, and there was a lot of dense sweat staining it. Have I imprisoned everyone? Is it the power to destroy the crown? Ji-Fei only knew that his power to destroy the crown had the property of nullification. As for the current power that confines time and space, what happened? It was definitely a feeling that Ji-Fei had never experienced before. How long will it last? Ji-Fei hoped to end this imprisonment as soon as possible, but the imprisonment did not end after the crown of destruction dissipated. Everything seemed to have lost its original color. Ji-Fei could not smell the special breath of life in the air. The original light green elf temple was gradually replaced by blackened colors, and the blood was colorless blood. Clap. Everything is like a broken mirror. The image in front of the space is shattered and cracked, with Ji-Fei as the origin. A powerful and surging breath of life spreads to the surroundings, and the surrounding black and white are replaced by a brand new green in a very short time. Then, everything seems to have recovered, but the result has been doomed since just now. Even if the imprisonment is lifted, it still exists. End of this chapter. Chapter 292 Spirit Battle. 6. What's going on? I felt like I was hit on the head by something just now. Hiss, it hurts. Huh. The battle is over? Xiao-Fei? Guagua was the first to come back to his senses. He stared hesitantly at Ji-Fei, who was panting heavily on the field. He first spoke a long paragraph in confusion, and then turned his eyes to Kirusa. Kirusa died miserably. The exploded head has been completely turned into powder, and there is a little bloody smell in the air, but it is not very strong. The body that is about 1 meter high is probably only 70 or 80 centimeters left now. The way Kirusa raised his fist was only a centimeter or two away from the powerless Chaos. You are too radical, Ji-Fei. Yi Lanshan's abrupt voice rang in Ji-Fei's mind. Ji-Fei turned his head. Yi Lanshan had already woken up. Her body was deeply locked together. She seemed to be a little angry, which made Ji-Fei somewhat puzzled. Grandson. 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 My poor grandson. Why? How? On the field, Kikumi put the dead Kirusa on the ground and began to cry at some point. The crying of elves is different from that of normal humans. Their tears are very special, showing a special fluorescent green color. And the elves didn't have any sad expression when they cried. They were just crying. This is really a strange sight. Ji-Fei didn't feel any pity for Kikumi's crying, just like her crying. If Chaos died, he would also cry, and he would definitely feel heartache, more miserable than Kikumi. Jingai was silent for a while, and then announced that the side that won the battle this time belonged to Chaos, as if none of the elves knew that it was Ji-Fei who just killed Kirusa. This made Ji-Fei very strange. Originally, Ji-Fei was still wondering if he had committed a foul, if he attacked without authorization, but judging from now, it doesn't seem to be the case. All of them seem to have not seen the scene of using the crown of destruction just now, right? Don't think about whether they have seen your power. If you have to say it, of course they don't. Your confinement power will erase the memory of people within the range. Do you know what kind of scene the confinement will cause just now? Yi Lanshan was questioning Ji-Fei, which could be heard from the tone of her voice. Of course Ji-Fei didn't know about this. What would he think if he knew that the scope of his confinement had been designed to reach this world? I don't know how many soul masters who are breaking through the juncture have lost their temper because of the sudden confinement. How many people who are doing important things have a series of consequences because of the confinement for a while. The beast, is worried about Chaos. If I hadn't appeared just now, both Chaos and Vilya would be in danger, right? Damn, Kurosa just went completely crazy, and he blatantly wanted to kill Chaos. Ji-Fei cursed angrily. This matter made him very angry, but there was no way to do it. Although there was a wrong indicator, Kurosa was already dead. Forget it, as long as you're fine. Don't be so reckless in the future, I'm really worried. Yi Lanshan would often show a shy girlish attitude in front of Ji-Fei. It is not an exaggeration to say that this is the moment Ji-Fei is most looking forward to, but obviously such opportunities are not many. It is also intimate, but still dare not be too blatant. Vilya was lying beside Chaos. The warm light green was healing Chaos wounds. At the same time Vilya stretched out her small hand to wipe the dirt on Chaos' cheeks and other parts of her body. Chaos was also a little strange. He stared at Weili Raya, but he didn't show too much hostility. He just lay quietly on the ground and let Weili Raya clean up the dirt and dirty soil for him. You're still sleeping there. Ji-Fei looked at the undead Douluo beside Guagua. He had been sleeping in a deep sleep from the beginning to now, and he didn't know what the undying Douluo's purpose in coming to the spirit realm was to do. The referee still said that he simply wanted to continue sleeping in another place. Kikimi picked up Kilu's body and flew outside without looking back. She didn't say anything about avenging her grandson, or pointing her head at other people, or even the eyes are extremely dull. The tears that filled the eyes just now have dried up. If not for the sunken tear stain on the wrinkled face, Ji-Fei would feel that this Kikimi is for her grandson. Does death feel nothing at all? The rest of the elders of the elves had started to clean up the mess. They think that it is not easy for the elves to get along with humans. It seems that it is difficult to even look twice. After staying for so long, Ji-Fei, except for a few words with the elves who are no more than one palm, the rest really haven't spoken a word. In fact, Ji-Fei didn't know this yet. The habits of the elves are very special. They are similar to spirit beasts but much more powerful than spirit beasts. They have certain emotions, such as joy, anger, sorrow, and joy. I can't last such a mood for too long. So even if I'm sad, it's just sad for a while, and I can't continue to cry. And the elves also have a deep-rooted idea that the strong are respected, and the dead are worthless. Of course, revenge is also needed, but it is also necessary to consider whether it is worth it. Kikimi must be very tangled now, right? But there is no way. From the very beginning, when she wanted her grandson to inherit the throne of the Elven King, she has already predestined what will happen today, and this cannot be changed. Ji-Fei walked up to Chaos and looked at Chaos, who had stabilized his breath, showing a difficult smile. This is really the first time you have become so embarrassed, but I know you must not have fully recovered yet. Strength. After all, you still haven't controlled your body very well, right? You've worked hard. You've done enough for your own happiness. Let me finish it next. Chaotic twitching lips said slowly, is it disappointing you, Dad and Mom? Inexplicably hearing such harsh words and Chaos' miserable appearance, Ji-Fei suddenly felt that he should have cut Kiluz into pieces just now. How could he leave him alone? No, you've done a good job. I'm very happy that you can become what you are now. Have a good chat with the person next to you. I have other things to do. Ji-Fei looked at Weili Raya. I'll leave the Chaos to you. I'm sorry. Weili Raya's body is covered with mud, so she still looks like the princess before. She smiled and shook her head. No, how could it be trouble? You really know how to joke. End of this chapter. Chapter 293 Endgame. 1. Ji-Fei was very angry, although Yi Lanshan repeatedly reminded him not to show too much in the elves. But now the anger has taken over, and the only sliver of reason that was left was completely lost by the words dad and mother just now. They were all dispersed, and now Ji-Fei could only leave anger. Elder Jing, shouldn't your expression look like this now? Why do you look like you feel sorry for the death of your elves? Ji-Fei's calm eyes are the most terrifying. Even ordinary anger shows only pure anger on Ji-Fei's face, but the eyes conveyed by Ji-Fei, who has calmed down, are those deep ones. So deep to a terrifying degree. Jingai bowed slightly, and the original Gujing Wubo's face finally showed an apologetic expression. Hall Master, please forgive me. I have a reason for doing this. Is there a reason? Could there be a reason for Chaos to fall into this situation? Could there be a reason for this situation? If it weren't for the death of Kurosa, the current Chaos would have been killed by a punch, right? Is this what happened to you for a reason? Or did you not intend to keep chaos alive? Jing Yi felt a little ashamed when Ji Fei questioned him. As Ji Fei said, his purpose was very simple, to get rid of Kikime's lineage, especially Kiruza, with the help of chaos or Ji Fei's hand. As the most loyal member of the Elf King, he absolutely does not allow anyone to betray the Elf King, even elders in the same rank point. However, he is also an elder of the elves, and he did not dare to attack Kikumi and others blatantly, and Kikumi and everyone are careful that there is no chance for him to get rid of Kikime's lineage, and with the passage of time, Kiruza's strength has been rapidly improved. And he has gradually become an unrivaled existence of the absolute new generation of the elves. At the same time, Kikime's ambitions have also begun to show crazily. It is only the first step to recruit other elders in order to forcibly make Viliraya Kiruza's fiancé. In recent years, many of the elders of the elves have mysteriously disappeared, and these missing the elders of the elves have one thing in common, that is, they oppose Kikime's succession to the top 10. Jingxi is a specific term, and of course it is also a general term. He is Jingyi, which is equivalent to the existence of the elves who control the absolute power of the elves, except the Elf King. No matter how powerful I'm alone, I'm still only one person, and the combined strength of the rest of the elders is still far behind. And although Kikumi is now nominally the 10 elders of the elves, which is equivalent to the 10 most powerful and loyal to the elves, Kikumi has not yet passed the elves. 8 out of 10 elves agree, so Kikumi is just a 10th elder in name only. Moreover, there is such a rumor in the elves that the disappearance of the former Jingxi elder is also related to Kikumi. You must know that Jingxi is the weakest among the 10 elders, and Kikumi and the missing one. The strength of Jingxi is not much different, and the relationship between the former Jingxi elder and Kikumi was very close before the disappearance, and after the former Jingxi elder disappeared, Kikumi has always wanted to inherit Jingxi location, so this point also makes people feel that their previous relationship was extremely special. The elves can be regarded as a relatively enlightened race, especially if they want to inherit the position of the Spirit 10. They need the consent of 8 out of 10 members of the clan, and Kikime's original approval rate is not high. After all, she is a woman. Even if she is powerful in the elves, will she feel that the strength of women will keep up with other elders in the future? Can she make a contribution when the elves are in danger? These are all obstacles until the appearance of Kikime's grandson, Kiruza. Everything changes. Kiruza is definitely a legend among the younger generation of elves. His own strength and growth rate are beyond the reach of his peers. Even some older elves cannot match Kiruza's strength. At this time, Kikumi kept preaching that her grandson could become the next Elf King, so her approval rate began to rise continuously, but that was because the younger generation was scared by Kiruza. The older generation is not afraid of her Kikumi lineage, so in a short time, a large number of elves in the elves disappeared without a trace. At that time, Jingai continued to investigate, but finally found to no avail. Hall Master, don't you actually want to get such a result? Xiaoya is now free, and the elf contract has dissipated from the moment Kiluz was like, so that Xiaoya can live with chaos together. Isn't this the purpose of your palace, master? Although the process is a bit difficult, it is undoubtedly a success in terms of the result, isn't it? Ji Fei snorted coldly, with a displeased expression on his face. If it wasn't for what Lan Shan said, I would have been arranged by Hanju Liraya. Jingai shook her head again and again, with a helpless expression on her face. I knew that the palace master would think of this level. Xiaoya is a poor child. Her parents were taken away by the king and now she doesn't know her life or death. She was brought up by me. Even if I'm the strongest, I can't do anything about it. After all, I'm not the only one who decides about the elves, and the elf king is not here, so I'm helpless. After a moment of hesitation, Jingai seemed to be observing whether Ji Fei's expression was soothing or continued to be tense so that he could continue talking about the next words. Seeing that Ji Fei did not continue to look angry, Jing Yi continued, Hall Master, you are right. I plotted against you and the Lord, but there is no other way. I'm so weak, and you still respect me so much. It's all because of the recession, right? Although Ji Fei is already familiar with the title of Palace Master, if he is really asked to explain what the title of Palace Master represents, He is only inexplicably familiar with it, and there is nothing else. Of course, there is so little attachment memory. Jing smiled peacefully, at least expressing his absolute goodwill. You may have forgotten this, but these are not important. I just need to remember that we elves will respect you and the Lord. Well, you and the Lord have given our elves a new life, so you and the Lord are the benefactors of our elves. Of course, you can be regarded as the Elf King, and let us respect you. End of this chapter. Chapter 294 Endgame. 2. Elf King. Evil God Douluo? Is it because of the evil god Douluo? So. Ji Fei kept murmuring, although Jing Yi explained it to him, but Ji Fei was not stupid. The real reason might be because of his special background. Right, traveler. No, I always feel that this identity is no longer a weird thing. Chi bowed again to express his deep apology, just like I would definitely admit my mistake, no matter what it was. Hal Master, please appease your anger. Our elves will heal the wounds of chaos, and at the same time, we will offer you an apology. Although you didn't do a lot, I still ask the Lord not to take your anger out on our elves. Ji Fei felt a little interesting now, and asked hastily, is it okay to take Wen Liar away? Jing Yi shook his head, with a smile on his face. Of course what the palace master said, is not a problem, but should we also consider Xiaoya's choice? Didn't I say it before? You are always really forgetful. Ji Fei had already asked Wei Liya a long time ago, and Wei Liya has always wanted to leave the elves, and now is undoubtedly the time. Besides, Ji Fei can't leave chaos with the elves, right? This time, chaos gained a physical body, but lost its strong defensive power. This made Ji Fei happy and a little bit distressed. The happy thing is, that chaos is at least not a cloud of ethereal energy. Chaos that has a body also has the ability to devour it. There are no disadvantages, and if chaos is combined with Vilya in the future, is it possible to keep chaos in an ethereal state? Ji Fei couldn't bear it. As for the disadvantages, it can be seen from the battle with Kirosa this time that chaos lacks defensive power. It should not even be said that chaos defensive power is all condensed on the outer layer of white air. If this once a layer of white air disappears, the defense of chaos will be completely dissipated, and they will directly fall into a wireless passive situation. Point in the past, chaos had a concealed body, so it was not afraid of any form of physical attack, and long-range attacks were just food that chaos could swallow. Now, one of the two abilities that constitute a perfect state is missing, so it's embarrassing. This time it was a fluke and Ji Fei was quick to save the scene. Otherwise, it is still unknown what kind of state chaos will become, and it may be an irreparable damage. In fact, Ji Fei has always regarded chaos as a very special existence. In fact, chaos has far more power than that. This time, chaos is fighting against the opponent relying on a body he is not familiar with. It is obviously very easy. He was at a disadvantage, but one thing to be aware of was that, even if Kilu's punch landed on Chaos' body, it would only smash the human body condensed by Chaos, and at most Chaos would return to the previous body. In the ethereal form, at least in the entire continent, there is no existence that can truly kill Chaos. Elder Jingai, I don't know what you plan to do, Kikimi. I'm afraid that Kikimi won't give up so easily if she loses her life's hope. Ji Fei doesn't believe that the death of a grandson, Kikimi, can always maintain a peaceful state, and Kikimi has always regarded Kiluz as an important figure in revitalizing their Kikimi's lineage, which is actually the case. So now Kiluz died, all hopes were shattered, and all ongoing dreams were cut in half. Isn't it crazy? So when Kikimi left with Kiluz's body just now, the indifference on her face really made Ji Fei feel a little conflicted, and she didn't know what Kikimi was thinking in her heart point, but Ji Fei could see that Kikimi would not find out that Ji Fei was the one who killed her grandson Kiluz, and he should have put all the responsibility on Chaos, which is not easy to handle. Jingai shook his head, and then said to Ji Fei, don't worry about the palace master. Although Kikimi is very ambitious, she will never be arrogant enough to attack you in Chaos, unless... Jingai's eyes turned on dead Douluo, who was sleeping, smiled happily, unless she wants everyone in Kikimi's lineage to disappear from this world forever. TSK. Ji Fei smacked his mouth in a very teasing manner. Yes, it meant slowly teasing. At first I thought that the elves were very united and the death or injury of one elf was enough for the rest of the elves to fight with it until they completely destroyed each other. But looking at it now, the meaning of Jifei's words is very obvious. I didn't expect the intrigue among the elves to be crazier than humans. Although it is only inside the Lost Canyon, the evolved system is deeply ingrained in the hearts of every elf. If the Palace Master feels that the elves are a symbol of beauty, then he is really wrong. Jingai let out a long sigh. He has been leading the elves for tens of thousands of years, since the Elf King left. There are too many and complicated things that happened. Not only the changes of every elf, but also the changes of most of the elves. The struggle of the elves has moved from the dark to the bright. When Elia stared at Chaos, she felt a little distressed. No, it should be said that she was particularly distressed. If someone said love at first sight to her before, she would definitely take it as a joke between sisters. But now she really finds that these 4 words have her magical power is so special that even the magic she has always been proud of can't compare. Seeing the naked scar on Chaotic's delicate face, Villyria raised her little hand to stroke it, but she just stretched out her hand and retracted it. Chaos looked sideways at Villyria and asked in confusion, "Are you my wife in my father's memory?" When Elia's face was slightly red, she didn't expect Chaos to ask her such a question, and she really didn't feel shy at all. "Ah." Chaos said then sat up with difficulty, feeling the refreshing feeling on his body. He suddenly grabbed Villyria's little hand and then put it directly on the scar on his forehead. "I really want to feel it. This scar has a lot of stories. Would you like to hear it?" Feeling the cold feeling on Chaos's face, Vilya was a little surprised. Could Chaos understand her own thoughts? It's called a tacit understanding. It's said in my father's memory, and the story of this scar is very long. Can I tell you slowly in the future? Of course, this is also the word in my father's memory. Just as Jifei was going to find Yi Lanshan, he passed by Chaos and accidentally heard the conversation between Chaos and Villyria, and he was instantly in a dazed state. End of this chapter. Chapter 295 Endgame 3. Chaos science is broken, and it's broken quite thoroughly. This is Jifei's self-feeling. All the words in his memory that he didn't take out are all used by Chaos to use against Villyria, and you can use it if you want. Why not? I want to add something like what my father said in his memory. Although Jifei often said that Chaos was his son before, he always felt that it was wishful thinking, right? But what about now? The answer is self-evident. Isn't the relationship drawn into quickly? Is it a beauty trick? How's the chat going? Are you still angry? Yi Lanshan flicked the light green hair on both sides and looked at Jifei with a little teasing. Well, Jifei was a little embarrassed. He was talking boldly just now, but now he was dealt with by Jinyi's words. Jifei also felt that he was a very easy talking guy. It's just like that. I talked with Jingai about whether Villyria can stay or not. What can Villyria take away? But Elder Jing said that please let us consider Villyria's thoughts. I think this has already been achieved. Jifei said, looking at Chaos and Villyria who were chatting and laughing happily on the other side. Yi Lanshan gave a putchy laugh, waved her hands, and said to Jifei, "It seems that these two entered the country quickly. We are too worried." "Yeah, they are coming soon, but we have always maintained this state," Jifei said as if complaining. "Could it be that you feel that this state is not good? Or do you want to find a few more besides me? Do you want to change the pattern of the next continent according to your memory?" Anger. This is definitely anger. Jifei clearly felt the cold air suddenly surging around him, and the source of it was Yi Lanshan. Yi Lanshan seemed to be angry, so scary. Jifei hastily took Yi Lanshan's hand and pulled her into his arms. Both of them were about the same height, but Yi Lanshan was vaguely taller than Jifei. If it was an ordinary 6 or 7-year-old child, it's too shy to make such an intimate gesture. But Jifei and Yi Lanshan are different. Even if they make such an intimate gesture, it's nothing at all. Just like an old married couple. You misunderstood, Lanshan. What I said was that the two of us should move forward instead of looking for someone else. You know what I'm thinking, and you must know that what I hate the most is taking love with a knife. Isn't it? Oh, is it like this? I don't think it's like this. HMPH. Forget it, you fooled yourself this time. Anyway, I'll be by your side in the future if you want to do something out of the ordinary. In Yi Lanshan's hand, at some point, two intersecting pale green light blades appeared. Just looking at it this way, isn't it scissors? TSK. A voice of envy smacking his mouth sounded from one side, and Hulina's voice sounded at the same time. The two of you should find a place to hide when you are in love. Huorao and I are very troubled by blatantly talking about these tiger and wolf words in front of the two of us. Hulina pinched her forehead lightly, but it was difficult to hide what's more is the envy and helplessness in those eyes. Huorao on the side murmured, it would be great if Zhu Jiangxing took the same initiative as Xiao Fei. Alas, it's irritating. It's really irritating. Seeing Huorao, Hulina seemed to be even more depressed, and she didn't know what she was thinking about. It's so weird that Teacher Undead is still sleeping. Even if you're hungover for a night, Teacher Undead should be in good spirits at this time, right? Be old and strong, have strong and muscular muscles like me. Forget it, Teacher Undead is still so young. He is about the same size as our elder brothers. Brother? Do you have a brother? Do you have a brother? I don't. Who has an older brother? Whoever has an older brother is still a decent person. Ziyu, Yan, and Zhu Jiangxing also walked over together, exchanging some inexplicable words while walking. It really makes people feel that their brains are a bit strange and special. But it is also true, although undead Douluo is a bit lazy, but it is by no means like the kind who will sleep back into the cage, and this is the kind who has started to sleep since he came here and gave an opening speech. Knowing undead Douluo may be caused by a hangover, but no matter how you look at it, it's not the same, right? The seven of Ji-Fei stood there together, which seemed particularly abrupt in this elf temple. After all, there were only a few people in the entire empty hall below, and those who should be sleeping were sleeping, and there were chaos and Veria not far away. Yao spreading unknown food. But Ji-Fei was surprised. Ziyu and the others didn't care about the origin of chaos, and he didn't seem to want to get to the bottom of Ji-Fei's identity, and it was the same with Yi Lanshan. Ji-Fei had always said that chaos was his martial soul before, right? But now Wuhan has become an existence that almost has a human body. No matter how you look at it, it will make people feel surprised, right? Didn't Xiao and the others feel surprised at all? Not long after, Chaos and Wenli Raya also flew to Ji-Fei's side, and the two little guys seemed to have a tacit understanding. Chaos stood on Ji-Fei's shoulder and Wenli Raya stood on Yi Lanshan's. On the shoulders, the distance between the two is only a distance between Ji-Fei and Yi Lanshan. As long as they turn their faces sideways, they can see each other. TSK, TSK, TSK. Hulina smacked her lips in amazement and said, the idiot from Ji-Fei's family abducted the princess of the elves. Chaos stared at Hulina. You are envious, and you are also afraid to tell Yan your sincerity. Haha, you are blushing. Sure enough, my father's memory is correct, and you are Yan. Right? Well, what a big fool. Even Hulina has made it so obvious that you still foolishly regard her as a younger sister. You are too stupid. Of course, this is also what my father remembers. You say yes, Lilia. Well, Lilia nodded. What Chaos said is that, although I don't understand it very well, I feel that what Chaos said is basically correct. Chaos stretched out his thumb towards Viliraya and gave a big thumbs up. Vilia Yesago. Hulina blushed and kept burying her little face into her neck. Her original air of a big sister completely disappeared and raised her head cautiously to glance at Yan. Huh? Where's Ji-Fei? This kid actually said that I'm an idiot and I have to burn his clothes to punish him for running a few laps in the elf clan. Yan roared and looked around. Ji-Fei beside him just disappeared out of thin air. No. End of this chapter. Chapter 296 Endgame. 4. Originally, Ji-Fei and the others were going to leave first. After all, staying in the elves in this situation might cause boredom, especially Kikima's lineage. After all, Chaos personally killed Kikima's grandson in their sight, that is, the hope of Kikima's lineage, Kiluz. But there was no way immortal Douluo could sleep very well, and Ji-Fei called on Guagua to wake undead Douluo up or just move out and bring him back. But the battle plan failed. Wanting to wake undead Douluo, no matter how much noise Ji-Fei and his group made, it was useless. Undead Douluo's ears seemed to be clogged, and that slightly drunken face made one feel that this was drinking and getting drunk. I wanted to move Undead Douluo away, but no matter whether I moved the rattan chair directly or tried to remove Undead Douluo from the rattan chair, they all failed. It was like moving a mountain without moving. No, I can't do it anymore. Although we say that men can't say no, but this immortal teacher is too heavy, right? I can't move it at all. Yan sat on the ground with a heavy mouth and was strangely dressed. The most important thing is that the rough air is mixed with a trace of heat wave. That's right, Yan can't move the undead Douluo, even if he uses the power of the Wuhan state to move him. Who says it's not? Why is this undead Douluo so heavy? We can't even croak, so what can we do? Not only did we kill a young generation of strong men, but we also took away their princesses by the way. Will we be killed by the elves if we stay here? Zhu Jiangxing stood in a bottle, dangling back and forth, still thinking about what kind of killing and crime the elves would do to them. What can we do? The big event is being delayed. Fei was not afraid of any elves, but was in a hurry to take Chaos and Valeria back to the bridal chamber. This is a big event that must not be delayed by undead Douluo. That, the Lord, and all of you. Valeria stood on Yi Lanshan's shoulder and raised her hand and said a little cautiously, what's the matter? Fei turned his head and gradually regained consciousness from his thoughts. Others also looked at Valeria. Indeed, Valeria is very beautiful. If other elves look similar in appearance and are almost made out of the same mold, then Valeria was specially carved. It's just that, no matter what she said, elves are the most suitable. That is, it is most suitable to be with a young guy like Chaos. With so many people watching together, the voice of Valeria's speech is also very small, as if she is very uncomfortable with this state, and she also thinks in her heart that she should tell Chaos and the Lord first, and then let them tell others. Can't handle it at all. Yi Lanshan saw the clues, so she explained, everyone, don't forget that Elder Jing asked us to have a happy gathering in the elven god's domain, and besides, do you really think where Teacher Undead sleeps? Everyone looked at Undead Douluo one after another. Undead Douluo closed his eyes tightly, and his disguise seemed to be torn apart in an instant. Who sleeps with such a tight brow and closed eyes? Is it a nightmare? This is obviously impossible. Ahem. Elder Jingai, the immortal teacher, just said that the party will not be held for the time being. After all, today is Kurosa's funeral. It's an offense here. He dares. Immortal Douluo sat up suddenly, the two rosy patches on his face disappeared in an instant, and the atmosphere hung on his face. He looked around and found no trace of Jingai, and saw Fei and the others. The smiling face instantly knew that he was lying to him. Good guy. Huh. Why am I still here? Haha, it seems that I drank too much at the party last night. Continue to sleep. Haha, I won't wake up until dawn. Immediately after the words were spoken, Undead Douluo's head tilted, and he fell into a deep sleep again. But he was still the same as before, with his brows furrowed and his eyes closed. The disguise was really bad. Others have another feeling of being deceived. Yi Lanshan smiled slightly and teased, how could Master Immortal miss this opportunity? The elves hurt Chaos. I'm afraid they will have to pay a lot of good things this time, but the most precious thing is already here. Speaking of which, Yi Lanshan looked at Valeria. Vilya shook her head, as if she had made up her mind. That, Grandpa Jing said that he wanted to hold a banquet tonight to welcome you. Ziyu and the others looked at each other. Is it a banquet? Well, it is indeed a good event. Forget it. You also saw that the elves just died. Didn't they just die? And he is the strongest of the younger generation of nobles. If you hold a banquet for us at this time. Ziyu is very cautious, as the eldest brother of Kai King must ensure the safety of others. What if Kikumi led a group of elves to kill them during the banquet? After all, the pain of losing a loved one can turn any fear into strength. You don't need to use honorific titles for me. I will follow the Lord in the future. Yi Lanshan said, it's not me, it's Chaos. I can't give you love by my side. After all, I already have such a difficult guy by my side. There are always So many inadvertent eyes on Ji-Fei. Ji-Fei is also in harmony and embarrassment. Is he in trouble? Even though there are so few speeches, it's just that the inner drama has been enriched a little bit. Are you going to criticize me like this? Wenli Raya looked at Chaos. Chaos sat slumped on Ji-Fei's shoulders, leaning on Ji-Fei's neck, felt Wenli Raya's gaze, was also looking at Wenli Raya. Don't worry, our elves are centered on each branch. Tonight's banquet is only held by Grandpa Jing's first branch. What the 10th branch will do is their own business. Oh, I understand. Is this the farewell ceremony held by the elf grandfather just now for his Vilya? It is also a banquet to celebrate the century-old relationship between Vilya and Chaos. Huo it seems that they understand this aspect very well, but it is better not to say if the hint is a hint. Oh, the army once again showed the powerful force of their own. Everyone knows that this banquet has such a deep meaning. It seems that it is not good to be young. Is it too ignorant? Could it be that Undying Douluo has been pretending to be asleep? It seems that Undying Douluo has already thought of this level from the very beginning. Sure enough, Undying Douluo is Undying Douluo, a master of predictions. This is very powerful. Admiration. It really is admiration. End of this chapter. Chapter 297 Nothing. 1. Misty fireflies light up the entire sky. They vibrate their wings without making any sound. That is their respect for elves. They are the brightest new stars under this starry sky. Whenever night falls, or when a banquet is held, sometimes they will weave into a net, and the whole sky will be illuminated by gorgeous fluorescent light. Ji-Fei and the others accepted Jingai's invitation to participate in the banquet held by the first pulse Jingai, and Jingai, as the first elder, naturally has the right to use any place as a banquet venue. In the end, Jingai set up the venue at the top of the elven god tree. Yes, a place higher than the elven temple. A windless night is always so warm. Even sitting there is a kind of enjoyment. There was no special food at the banquet, especially meat. I don't know if it's because the elves don't eat meat, or because they don't have time to prepare. Ji-Fei and the others can only eat melons and fruits, but Ji-Fei knows why Undead Douluo pretends to be asleep until night. Spirit brew. Enough spirit brew is placed on the table like this. Compared with the barrel of spirit brew prepared by Undead Douluo before, the current spirit brew is dozens of times more. Even if it is one barrel per person, there will be leftovers. The aroma of spirit brewing is constantly floating in the sky and even has a feeling of condensing into substance, which is really too tempting. Immortal Douluo happily drank the spirit brew one cup after another. The melons and fruits placed in front of him were not even glanced at by Undead Douluo, while the croaking at the side seemed very difficult. Holding the spirit brew, the wine barrel poured wine for Undead Douluo, and he could only drink 2 sips. When Undead Douluo was drinking freely, I was very surprised that you all agreed to attend the banquet. I thought you had already made up your mind. Jingai raised the cup in his hand and said with a smile. Ji-Fei shook his head. Of course he wanted to leave, but Undying Douluo was so weird. He pretended to sleep until night, and when Jingai sent people to invite Ji-Fei and the others to the banquet, Undying Douluo was like it flew out like chicken blood. Immortal Douluo laughed loudly. We are also very honored to be able to participate in this banquet. The others stared at Undead Douluo and drank the spirit brew one cup at a time. The speed was so fast that people couldn't help but wonder how big this Undying Douluo's appetite was. Yi Lanshan was sitting next to Ji-Fei, and Jingyi chose to sit in toss at the right time, which made Ji-Fei admire Jingyi very much, while on the other side were Chaos and Wenli Raya, the only one present who occupied the entire table at Ziyu. Originally, Ziyu asked to have a table with Yan and Hulina, but she was ruthlessly rejected by her own sister. Yan also expressed that she was powerless to help, so the distressed Ziyu was biting the melon and fruit while drinking the elf brew in depression. I don't know how long Master Greed will stay in the Lost Canyon. Jingyi first toasted Undead Douluo with a cup of elf brew, and then asked straightforwardly. Immortal Douluo took a full drink and said without hesitation, originally, I planned to stay for a year or 2, but now something happened. I plan to leave for a place called Notting City in 3 days. There are some things to be resolved. The cup that Ji-Fei originally raised suddenly froze in midair. Did he hear correctly? Notting City, isn't that the town where I live? No, I can only talk about my life in a place called Holy Soul Village under Notting City. Notting City? I haven't heard of it. Jingai showed a slight smile. It must not be a simple matter if Mr. Greed needs to go there in person, right? Undead Douluo smiled slightly, put down the wine glass in his hand, and said slowly, just go and deal with the little guy, and take these little guys for a stroll outside, and then return to the lost track. After about half a month, the Grand Canyon will carry out the next stage of special training for them. As for the next stage of special training, will last for a few years. I don't know what to do. 2 or 3 years is it? The expected target old man will never let them go out safely. Hahaha, Mr. Greed is still so serious about things. With a cheerful smile, why did he invite Undead Douluo here? Of course it won't be simply drinking, and more importantly, Undead Douluo's strength and character are very similar to that of the Elf King. It's worthy of being able to marry the Elf King's younger sister, but it's a pity that the fate is too shallow. Teacher Immortal, you said to solve a little guy who needs you to take action personally. Ziyu showed a little surprise, but the depression just now completely disappeared when she thought that she could finally go out for activities. Ji-Fei couldn't help thinking that Tang San should still be studying at Notting College in Notting City, right? It's only been less than a year since we parted, and I don't know what happened, but after thinking about it, it must be a good time, right? After all, Ji-Fei left Tang San so many gold soul coins. Immortal Douluo glanced at Ziyu, and then said slowly, it's just a not so simple little guy. It's boring to attack this kind of guy, but I just want to tell you what your future tasks are. It's also considered as playing with me, an old man. Of course you pay for me, and of course you also pay for it. The others pouted. It was like this without thinking about it. Whether it was staying in a restaurant or eating, Immortal Douluo was definitely the kind who didn't take away a penny, but they were absolutely sincere in treating Ji-Fei and the others. Even magical things like Elves Brood. Take it out, and there are so many treasures to give away. By the way, Xiaofei, our goal when we go back this time is not in college. Your younger brother is also there, right? Don't strike up a conversation. We have to operate secretly. Do you understand? Undead Douluo said this and didn't understand the reason, but he was blown up. Yan asked in surprise, so Xiaofei still has a younger brother? How is the talent? Why didn't you bring it with you? Could it be that you are weak? Brother, do you want me to educate your younger brother with my fiery fist? Hulina grabbed Yan, obviously not wanting Yan to continue to be so excited. If this continues, Yan may involve whether she is going to sharpen Ji-Fei's younger brother. The younger brother is not a real brother. I'm an abandoned orphan, but I was taken home by my younger brother's father. As for talent, I haven't seen it for a long time and I don't know it very well. Maybe very powerful. Ji-Fei didn't have much nostalgia for Tang San. If he just wanted to stay by Tang San's side for stability before, then now his thoughts have all become that he wants to become stronger, and he wants to protect Ji Lanshan and Chaos, of course. There is also Vilya, but that should be the responsibility of Chaos. Ji-Fei mainly protects Ji Lanshan. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 298 Notting 2. Ji-Fei was a bit puzzled, and so were the others. What is the Undead Douluo going to do when he goes to Notting City? Killing people is obviously going to kill people. It's unknown who they kill, but no matter how you look at it, it can't be a normal guy. Of course, Ji-Fei can rule out Tang San. Point, is it possible that the Undead Douluo can make the shot himself, has the same power as the Undead Douluo? Ji-Fei didn't know about Undying Douluo's real power, or Ji-Fei had only heard about Undying Douluo's real power. The abilities cultivated through more eras are too numerous to enumerate. I don't know what exactly is the task you mentioned, teacher? Since we are also going to accompany you, why don't we talk about it now? We should also be mentally prepared. Ji-Fei took advantage of this moment to ask hastily. Yes, teacher immortal, maybe we can still help you. Although we can't do it in terms of strength, we can still do it in other places. How can we say that we are also the golden generation of Wuhan Temple? Ziyu also wanted to know who would be the guy who can make undead Douluo take action himself. Immortal Douluo raised the spirit brew in his hand and took a big sip, then said slowly, well, I wonder if you have heard of the demon beyond the sky? It is the so-called time traveler who traveled from another world's souls. They have memories of previous lives and are born into this world in a new form. With a click, the wine glass Fei originally picked up fell to the ground in an instant. The white glass shattered into several pieces, and the spirit brew in the glass spilled all over the floor, but this is nothing. Fei's complexion is a bit gloomy and depressed at the same time. Isn't this talking about himself? Yi Lanshan tugged Fei, and at the same time, took out a handkerchief to wipe off the spirit brew splashed on Fei's clothes. Don't worry, you are different from those time travelers. You are originally from this world. It is almost like reincarnation. It is similar to saying that you have time traveled to the world you belonged to before, and now you have returned to your original world. Undead Douluo also knows this. Yi Lanshan's voice directly reached Fei's ears, and Fei couldn't help but become more puzzled. What happened? You said that I was originally from the Douluo Continent? Then I traveled to the time I lived before, and now I just returned to this continent? Fei passed his voice to Yi Lanshan with a questioning tone. Well, that's the thing, but your current memory is sealed, and you will understand the cause and effect of all this when you have a chance to retrieve it in the future. Listen to what Teacher Undead has to say. Yi Lanshan explained softly. Yeah. Fei nodded, and at the same time, put his eyes on Undead Douluo. It seems that this has already involved Tang San, right? Undead Douluo didn't care whether the others understood or wanted to hear questions, so he stretched out his fingers and made a silent gesture, and then continued to repeat. Those traversers are very unique. They have knowledge about the Douluo Continent and even the future direction of the entire Douluo Continent. For example, what will happen to us in the future or what we will experience. Isn't it strange? Although the old man can also do this, but the old man will not do it because it will interfere with the development of the original order of the Douluo Continent. For example, the soul guide that should not have appeared in this era should have been invented in the future. Robots' luck opportunities will be plundered, which is not allowed. Therefore, these extraterrestrial demons must be wiped out. Of course, these extraterrestrial demons have various benefits for travelers. Over the years, travelers keep telling the old man about their world, and then everything such as the system or the powerful martial spirit is crushed by the old man. The gold fingers in their mouths are like a speck of dust in the old man's eyes. It seems that the Golden Dragon King Wuhan and the like seem to be boasted by them as a blessing for the traversers, but they haven't been crushed by the old man himself. Immortal Douluo paused and looked at the horrified faces of other people, but he didn't care. After all, no matter who heard these remarks, they would be surprised. Of course, some of the things about you that these demons from beyond the sky have are real, and some are imaginary. For example, they may know the names of Ziyu and the others, and then they will know that the three of you are from Wuhan Temple. Similarly, he can even fully tell what dangers or adventures you will encounter in the future. Will the three of you be willing to let a person who came out of nowhere take your chances? Ziyu shook her head, with a little anger on her small face. How could this be allowed? My chance is my own. Why should they be plundered by them, just because they know the specific direction? That's right, we all have selfish intentions, so if this kind of demon from beyond the sky comes, the old man has to kill one. The old man doesn't want to see the order of soul masters created by the old man be destroyed by so many traverser bugs. This time another traveler came. It should be said that after Fei awakened his martial soul, he also awakened his martial soul. The martial soul seems to be a dragon-like martial soul. Although the old man doesn't like it, he still has to personally let go and destroy him. Originally these things were done by Guagua. After all, what he likes most is devouring other people's spirits, especially the dragon type. Guagua said, greedy lad, you are wrong to say that. Can I call it swallowing? I just let them exchange the luck of our dragon clan back. Another important point is that I didn't take any action at all to kill them. They were just scared to death by my aura. Undead Douluo said in disbelief. So you can't get novel knowledge every time. Obviously those traverses are so fun. At least you have to take out their original memory. Who told you to go away directly? What's the use of remembering when people are dead? Anyway, they don't have anything about our existence in their memory, and even if it makes waves, so what? There are only a few hundred traverses over the years. For those who are scared to death, those who are scared to death, those who study to death, those who are dying to study, remember that the last thing they said the most before they died was, "My fate is up to me," right? Haha. Immortal Douluo chuckled lightly. This old man is an existence bigger than the sky. If you can't control the sky, then there's no problem with this old man, right? It's so scary. Two ferocious demons. It's just the words of two ferocious demons discussing how to play. End of this chapter. Chapter 299. Noting. 3. At this moment, Immortal Douluo and Gua Gua are like two demons who talk about judging other people's lives. Life and death. Powerhouses and geniuses are nothing more than dust in the eyes of the two of them, even if they are more powerful. Just get some floating dust for a long time. However, Fei felt deeply shocked, such as the system, which is definitely the benefit of the traverses. People who own the system can definitely get along well. Didn't Fei also have so many options at that time? It's just that Fei chose a special martial spirit. Didn't you think that there are so many traverses on the Douluo Continent? You really didn't expect this. Fei sighed, but there were not many so-called traverses in Undead Douluo's words, and they came from different time periods. Some of them knew the next direction of the world, while others didn't know it at all. Fei belongs to the kind of existence who knows a little bit. Fei didn't read all the directions of the mainland, but he heard other people say that Tang San would become a god in the end, but he didn't realize that some things were indeed true until he traveled through time. True, but some things are not described. It seems that there are not many titled Douluo in the world. In fact, there are guys like Immortal Douluo who don't know how long they have lived, and races like elves who control magic. This race is hundreds or thousands of times stronger. Mr. Immortal, is the time traveler you mentioned very powerful? For example, the time traveler you want to kill this time. And how did you find out that there is a time traveler? Zhu Jiangxing asked very curiously. Undead Douluo smiled slightly. It's not that great. It's just improved with the help of some foreign objects. Talent? Talent that hasn't grown up is nothing. And the old man can't let such an existence live. In short, besides, he is weaker than you, without considering the blessings of foreign objects. As for how the old man discovered them, it is very simple, but it is just a continent. Everyone can know the birth and death of everyone. It only takes one thought. Old man, in fact, you can kill the traverser, but what? Fei looked at Undead Douluo's sinister smile, and suddenly felt a little cold. It didn't look like Undead Douluo's expression. It was so scary. Guagua and Undead Douluo looked like you were singing me and me. He explained for Undead Douluo. Father Greedy likes to study the memories of these traverses. There are many novel things in their memories. Greedy Dad will kill the traverses every time and obtain their original memories for a search. Haha, that's right. The one who knows me is Quack. Immortal Douluo raised his wine glass and happily drank the spirit brew in it. Fei looked at Undead Douluo and asked out of curiosity, I don't know how many so-called time travelers Master Undead has killed, or did you get something interesting from the memory of these time travelers? Yes, Teacher Immortal, please tell us. It is really amazing that there are other worlds in this world. People say that people will go to another wonderful world after death. Is this true? Undead Douluo shook his head. How many have been killed? I can't remember clearly, but a large part of them died of old age. After all, even if they are traverses, their minds are at most stronger than normal children, or they are some special tools will help them. Even if they let them go, they will not be able to make big waves. But the old man feels that it is better not to have a little trouble. And another point is very important. There are not many traverses, and there have only been ones in the past 10,000 years. There are 5 or 6 of them. All from different worlds. I remember that the most recent one was 300 years ago. It was also a little guy who had just awakened his martial soul. He has a system, and it seems that he can complete tasks to obtaining a special treasure. That thing is very special. After the old man killed the little guy, the system actually depends on the old man. It is quite an interesting little thing, but it was taken away by that guy for a search. The system can still be taken out. Is it so cruel? Fei felt as if he had acquired a very strange knowledge, and his sense of awe for undead Douluo couldn't help but increase a bit. That little guy is quite interesting. Before he died, he said that he was born at an untimely time. In fact, the old man knows that their ideal era should be now. After all, this era is very special. Maybe he felt that if he was born in this era, he would be born in this era. It caused a shock, but for the old man who maintains his own order, as long as they are still alive, they cannot escape the control of our 7 emotions. No matter whether he is a god or a demon, life and death are only a matter of thought. Do you know why the old man chose to kill them after they awakened their martial soul, instead of going to kill them from birth? Everyone shook their heads. There was no difference at all, except that they died 6 years later. It is indeed 6 years late to die. Undead Douluo said, I don't want to kill the newborn babies in front of their parents. In this world, the most exciting thing for soul masters is to awaken from 6 years old to 20 years old. This period is the period of rapid growth for soul masters. If there is no achievement during this period of time, it is almost equivalent to that this life is worthless. Even if the time traveler is a perfect mind, the old man is also a father, although I have not seen the old man's daughter for more than years. Yes, but if someone wants to kill my daughter in front of the old man will also be crazy, so the old man will wait for 6 years, and then carefully create an accident, and this time also needs the help of a few of you. Do you feel that I'm hypocritical, old man? Or is it simply inhumane to be born with such a child? Undead Douluo laughed at himself. Everyone shook their heads. On the contrary, they only felt that Undead Douluo was an existence with a lot of burdens. He has his own choice that cannot be violated. Immortal Douluo looked at the children who were shaking their heads one after another and suppressed a laugh and said, the old man promised him to protect this continent for him, as well as the old man's friends. Although we are separated, the purpose will never be different. Change. This is a difficult thing. From the invasion of foreign races to the ravages of the dragon race, the old man has solved countless guys in order to protect this continent, and of course he will not give up the protection because of a few traverses. Why are you also depressed? It's obvious that today is a happy and joyous day for holding a banquet. Lord Greed, let's stop talking about these heavy topics and come and drink up the glass. End of this chapter. Chapter 300 Knotting. 4. Don't persuade others to be kind without others suffering. Now it is such a simple truth. Fei and the others can only know Undying Douluo's own obsession from the few words of Undying Douluo. For Undead Douluo, this is the meaning of his life. Jingai's words played a very good role in easing the atmosphere, and Ziyu and the others could also see that Undead Douluo's mood might never have been so heavy, so they didn't bother to pursue such topics anymore, and hurriedly ran away one by one. When they arrived at Undead Douluo's side, they toasted. Fei and Lanshan didn't deliberately go there. The reason was very simple. There was no gap. Ziyu and the others rushed up and pushed Guagua away, but Guagua ran to Fei's side with a helpless face. Quack, I can feel a sense of resentment from your current face. Fei stared at the person next to the wine glass, who was drinking quack brewed by elves. After the atmosphere gradually became active, Chaos and Vilya also joined in, but Chaos and Vilya ran aside to chat on their own. Fei wanted to listen deliberately, but was caught by Yi. Lanshan twisted her ears and pulled them back. Guagua leaned back on the table and fiddled with the wine glass in his hand. His eyes seemed to be staring at his reflection in the wine glass, and then said, is there? Maybe, but these are not important anymore. How come after knowing this matter today, didn't you feel a sense of heaviness? A time traveler? Fei murmured, you and Teacher Undead should both know that I'm also a time traveler, right? Guagua waved his hand. You are not a time traveler. You are originally from this world. Didn't Sister Life tell you? Didn't you, Sister Life? Yi Lanshan caught Guagua's gaze and said, I just told Fei. That's it. Guagua raised his head and looked at the deep sky. That's the reason. You are originally from this world, but it's not quite right. Not quite right? Fei asked suspiciously. Guagua nodded, and then replied, I can't explain it very clearly. Anyway, you just need to know that you are special. The same is also very important. Is that so? Fei thought for a while. It seems that this is not a good thing to think about. Yi Lanshan didn't know when she stood up, stretched out her hand and gently rubbed Fei's head. Don't think too much. It's better for us to experience something than to think about it. Just like the immortal teacher, after obtaining it for a long time, you won't feel that these things will be abrupt. Well, I didn't think too much about it, but I was a little surprised. I didn't expect this world to be really extraordinary. And Teacher Undead has too many burdens, right? Looking at the drunk undead Douluo's face is full of smiles. Maybe this is one of the few moments when undead Douluo can laugh so happily. Quack. Teacher Undead also said that you have killed many Travisers, right? Are you trying to make Teacher Undead feel less guilty? You don't seem like the kind of guy who would devour other people's spirits. Guagua patted his blue belly and hiccuped. Well, you can't hide anything from you anyway. It's like this. The pattern of the mainland has gradually changed in recent years. And let me tell you, it seems that at this time in the 10 years of reincarnation, someone will become a god. Becoming a god. Are you saying that Teacher Immortal is a god? And you are quacking? You are not easy, are you? Quack smiled. God. You can kill as many of that kind of thing as you want. For Greedy Dad and the others, God can only live as a binding title. The vitality of God is also limited. On the contrary, Greedy Dad doesn't have it. Of course I don't have one either, so I actually don't know how long I've lived. I've completely lost the concept of time since I was kicked out of the God realm. By the way, I used to be a god. As for God, won't tell you what it is. Frog God? Toad God? Fei asked in a slightly teasing tone. Guagua waved his hand and said with a smile, where is there such a god? The current god realm abides by order. How is it like before? Managing so many hundreds of worlds for everyone to have fun together casually? That's what's called comfortable. Okay, don't tell your past stories. What is Teacher Undead going to do this time? Yi Lanshan asked Quack. Guagua jumped up and did it directly. Guagua stroked his chin with his hand, as if he was lost in thought, and suddenly clapped his hands after a while. It's still the same method as before. Wouldn't it be fine for me to kill it directly? Anyway, I did this before. Anyway, I'm a soul beast. Even if I kill a soul master, it won't matter. At the same time, we also have to enter Notting City pretend. Remember what the Greedy Dad said before. You don't want to recognize your younger brother? Fei nodded. This is what Undead Douluo deliberately told him. It seems very important, but it may not be possible to meet him. Tang San is very diligent. I'm afraid he is either training or on the way of training. We can't get involved with other people too much. That's why Greedy Dad has such a plan. In the past, Greedy Dad and I accepted this. I pretended to be his son and singled out the time traveler. I slapped the time traveler to death. Then it's up to Greedy Daddy to organize their memories. So tyrannical? No matter how you say it, Fei understands the abilities of a lot of Travisers. They are all crowned with earth-shattering and incomparable titles, but it seems normal to be killed by croaking, right? A soul beast that doesn't even know how long it has lived is terrifying. Guagua said, it's nothing. Those Travisers are more crazy than each other. I heard that I will be more excited than them one-on-one, as if I can get some special treasures by defeating me. Each of them is not strong enough to brag. Number 1, the real one is weaker than the other. Then is this method still used this time? Guagua thought for a while and then said, about this way. I think the greedy father thinks the same way, but don't forget that Teacher Undead will bring the 7 of us with him this time, so there must be some changes, right? Fei asked tentatively. Guagua also nodded. If it was before, I would let you rest for a while, and then I went to kill them with Greedy Dad, and then came back. This time, Greedy Dad may have other purposes, right? Is there any other purpose? Maybe there will be. Fei thought about it for a while and really couldn't figure out what the purpose was. If he didn't want other people to know, obviously the fewer people the better. The idea of bringing 7 people together seems to be a bit contrary to the original intention, right? End of this chapter. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.